I walk by. The seas part when it's time to slide. The clouds move when I'm in the sky. I'm that fly, I'm a god, I would never die. You can feel the echo when the guy speaks. A mountain crumbles when I touch a peak.
나의 레벨은 다르다 어나더 레벨 하식스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌 15 24강 2조 경기로 함께하겠습니다. 안녕하세요, 이영경입니다. 지난주 화요일부터 시작된 24강이라는 치열한 경쟁도 이제 오늘과 모레 단 2개 조 경기만을 남겨두고 있습니다. 그 어느 때보다 한 치 앞을 내다볼 수 없을 정도로 혼란스러운 24강의 구도 안에서 남은 16강의 네 자리는 어떤 선수들에게 돌아가게 될지, 자, 오늘 경기 앞두고 있는 2조 선수들 지금 바로 만나보시죠. 안녕하세요, 반갑습니다. 네, 먼저 24강 2조의 탑티어 김명훈 선수입니다. 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
지금까지 24강 경기 김명훈 선수 쭉 지켜보셨겠지만 이번 시즌이 시작하기 전 2조의 느낌, 그리고 이번 시즌 D조까지 진행된 현재까지의 2조의 느낌은 조금은 다르게 느껴지실 것 같은데요.
네, 지금까지 앞에 좀 잘한다고 생각하는 선수들이 많이 떨어져가지고 저도 방심하면 안 되겠다라고 생각하고 왔어요.
김명훈 선수는 ASL 복귀 이후에 두 번의 우승, 두 번의 4강 굉장히 좋은 시즌들을 보내고 계시다가 사실 최근 두 시즌은 아쉽게도 16강에 머무르셨습니다. 이번 시즌 좀 욕심이 나지 않으시는지도 궁금해요.
제가 4강에서 두 번 졌을 때 변현재 선수한테 졌잖아요. 근데 현재가 떨어졌더라고요.
네,
그래가지고 조금 욕심이 생기긴 했어요.
자, 김명훈 선수와 첫 대결을 앞두고 있는 홍덕 선수와도 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 홍덕 선수 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
지금 제가 김명훈 선수와 이야기를 나눌 때 홍덕 선수의 표정을 살짝 봤는데 약간 긴장하고 계시나라는 느낌을 받았거든요.
뭐 긴장이 안 된다고 하는 건 거짓말이고, 근데 약간의 긴장은 오히려 저는 좀 더 긍정적으로
기분 좋은 설레임으로 좀 느껴지고 있다라는 것 같은데, 현재 홍덕 선수는 ASL 본선 세 번째 무대입니다. 이 직전 시즌과 이번 시즌에 대한 느낌이 사뭇 좀 다른가요? 어떤가요?
사실 제가 그 전에는 좀 그런 부담감이 되게 심했었어요. 물론 제가 막 그렇게 뭐 엄청 잘한다까지는 아닌데 그래도 기대를 해주시는 분들이 좀 많았었어가지고 좀 부담이 더 있었었는데, 이번에는 그런 부담 걱정 안 하고 그냥 좀 신경 안 쓰고 할 거 하면은 좀 좋은 결과 있지 않을까 싶습니다.
이번 시즌 홍덕 선수에게 조금은 더 많은 기대를 할 수밖에 없는 게 계속해서 많은 분들의 예상과 다른 또 이변이 일어나고 있잖아요. 홍덕 선수 이번 시즌에 ASL에서의 첫 승 좀 기대해봐도 좋을지도 좀 듣고 싶어요. 어때요?
사실 저도 뭐 이기면 좋겠지만 워낙 저희 조에 좀 잘하시는 분들이 다 너무 많아가지고 뭐 힘들게 하겠지만 저도 최선을 다해서 올라가 보도록 하겠습니다.
네, 홍덕 선수의 미소에서 그래도 약간의 자신감이 좀 느껴지는 것 같은데요. 자, 계속해서 지난 시즌 또 돌풍을 일으켰던 주인공이죠. 이영환 선수와 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 영환 선수 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
지난 시즌 정말 오랜만에 또 8강에 진출하는 쾌거를 이영환 선수가 이뤄내셨습니다. 또 이번 시즌 앞두고는 본인에게 또 거는 기대가 남다를 것 같아요.
그냥 저번 시즌에는 크게 부담 없이 그냥 했었던 것 같은데 결과가 좋았던 것 같고, 그래서 이번 시즌도 좀 부담 좀 덜 가지면서 그냥 하던 대로 늘 하면은 좋은 결과 있을 거라 생각하고 왔어요.
이번 시즌 또 신규 맵들이 굉장히 재미있는 컨셉과 전략이 또 있는 다양한 맵들이 있어서 이영환 선수가 또 기상천외한 재미있는 좀 빌드를 준비해 오지 않았을까 하고 생각하는 분들도 많으시거든요.
네, 맵 처음 봤을 때 확실히 제가 좋아할 만한 요소의 맵들이 너무 많아가지고 좀 이번 시즌에는 게임을 좀 많이 하고 싶어요. 그래서 24강 통과하고 16강, 8강에서도 더 좋은 경기 좀 보여주고 싶어서 좀 욕심을 많이 내고 있는 상황입니다.
단판인 24강보다 더 많은 경기를 펼칠 수 있는 16강으로 가고 싶다라고 답변을 해주셨는데, 윤찬희 선수를 꺾어야만 또 가능하겠죠. 윤찬희 선수와도 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
이번 시즌 3티어 선수들이 굉장히 많은 주목을 받고 있습니다. 윤찬희 선수도 이 기대감이 좀 3티어 선수로서 느껴지실 것 같은데요. 어떠세요?
일단은 매번 ASL 할 때마다 24강이나 16강에서 계속 떨어지고 막 그래가지고 이번에는 그냥 저도 아까 약간 영환이 형 마인드로 제가 편하게 마음 편하게 가져야지 약간 잘할 수 있지 않을까 싶어가지고 마음 편하게 하고 왔습니다.
윤찬희 선수의 오늘 첫 경기 상대가 이영환 선수인데 사실 좋지 않은 기억을 많이 또 심어줬던 상대가 이영환 선수입니다. 돌이켜보니까 첫 맞대결이 시즌3 8강에서 땅굴저구를 또 선사했던 장본인이 또 이영환 선수기도 하고 지난 시즌 16강에서의 맞대결에서도 윤찬희 선수가 아쉽게 또 패배를 하셨는데 마음 편하게 경기를 하기가 참 맞상대가 쉽지가 않을 것 같다는 생각이 들거든요.
이게 신기한 게 약간 대회 때는 제가 다 지고 이렇게 일반적으로 이렇게 스폰 게임이나 이런 거 하면은 안 빡세거든요. 근데
오.
확실히 영환이 형은 좀 대회에 좀 약간 재주가 있는 것 같긴 해요.
오.
근데 애초에 이거는 제가 저그전을 아직 극복을 못한 상태라서 좀 허용된 거지. 그거를 오늘 좀 한번 깨부시고 싶네요.
또 오늘 2조에 저그가 2명이나 있잖아요. 또 우승자 출신 저그 김명훈 선수도 있는데
네.
저그전 확실하게 극복하는 모습을 좀 볼 수 있을까요? 윤찬희 선수.
이게 연보성이 말한 말이 있습니다.
뭔데요?
저그전을 못하는 테란은 퇴란이다. 그러니까 퇴물 그 이상 그 이하도 아니라는 얘기거든요.
그렇게
그래서-
되고 싶지 않으신 거잖아요.
네,
지금.
저 진짜 그냥 3일 동안 그냥 저그 유닛만 보고 그냥 그냥 토스전을 사실 덕이는 그냥 저 원래 있던 대로 하는 마인드고
네네.
완전 저는 오늘 저그전을 그냥 갈아왔습니다. 그냥
아.
이를 악물고 왔어요.
마음 편하게 그냥 하겠다라는 말씀은 거짓말이었던 걸로.
아니죠. 이제 겉으로 보여지는 여유와 그렇지 않은
속으로는 칼을 갈고 있는.
네, 내면을 잠깐 꺼내 주셨네요.
네. 윤찬희
네.
선수의 내면까지 살짝 제가 들여다봤고요. 이번에는 팬분들이 또 4명의 선수들에게 어떤 내면의 모습을 보고 싶어 하셨을지 질문 전해드리겠습니다. 탑티어 김명훈 선수. 아무래도 탑티어 선수들에게도 24강 단판은 참 쉽지 않은 경기로 다가올 것 같은데요. 정말 경험이 많은 김명훈 선수도 단판은 좀 부담스럽게 느껴지시죠? 어떠세요?
뭐 그렇기는 한데 사실 솔직히 말하면 잘하는 선수들이랑 다전자하는 것보다 오늘이 훨씬 편하기도 해서 좀 방심만 안 하면은 좋은 결과 나올 것 같아요.
방심만 하지 않는다면 그럼 이번에는 홍덕 선수께 좀 질문을 드리면 좋을 것 같은데 하위 티어로 분류되고 있는 선수들은 이 단판에서 뭔가 승부수를 보여줘야 한다라는 좀 움직임을 보여준 선수들도 지금까지 있었어요. 어떤 필살기, 노림수 오늘 준비되어 있는 게 있을까요?
솔직히 제가 여기 조에서 제일 이제 하위로 4티어잖아요. 근데 오히려 저는 이제 명훈이 형보다 반대로 이게 뭐 3판 2선이 아닌 단판이라서 이변이 일어날 수도 있지 않을까라는 생각도 듭니다. 네.
방심만 안 하면 쉬울 것 같다라는 김명훈 선수에게 오히려 약간 날카로운 답변을 돌려준 홍덕 선수인데요. 자, 다음 질문은 윤찬희 선수 마이크를 한번 잡아주실까요? 자, 일반적인 시각으로 2조의 구도는 1위는 김명훈 선수가 진출할 가능성이 좀 유력해 보이고 나머지 2위를 노리는 예측 불허의 구도로 보는 분들이 많으십니다. 윤찬희 선수의 의견 어떠신가요?
근데 명훈이 형 1등도 솔직히 간당간당할 것 같다는 마인드.
네.
너무 자만을 하고 있어요. 제가 봤을 때. 지금 이를 다 갈고 있거든요. 제가 봤을 때는.
네.
그래서 1등 명훈이 형이 뭐 유력하긴 하죠. 아무래도 좀 잘하긴 하니까 한데 저는 1등을 노리고 왔습니다 오늘.
윤찬희
그냥
선수의 1위 진출.
저그전만 한다는 마인드로 명훈이 형이 그 1경기를 무조건 덕이를 잡아줬으면 좋겠네요. 네.
승자전에서 김명훈 선수 이 강한 저그를 잡고 1위로 올라가겠다. 그 윤찬희 선수가 1위로 진출했다면 2위 진출자는 어떤 선수가 될까요?
2위 진출자 뭐 그 자리는 명훈이 형 줘야 되지 않을까요?
방심하고 있는 김명훈 선수가 2위 진출할 것 같다. 김명훈 선수의 의견도 한번 좀 들어볼까요? 좀 윤찬희
네.
선수가 방심하고 있는 것 같다라고 했거든요.
저도 사실 승자전에 윤찬희 선수가 올라왔으면 좋겠어요. 영환이 좀 무섭거든요. 그래서 몽이가 올라오면은 되게 편안하게 진출할 것 같아서 꼭 승자전에서 봤으면 좋겠네요.
두 선수의 신경전을 굉장히 여유롭게 지켜보고 있는 이영환 선수. 지금 두 선수의 이런 신경구도 어떻게 좀 지켜보시나요?
몽이가 아직 저한테 덜 맞은 것 같아요. 지금 2시즌 정도 맞았는데 한 3시즌 정도, 한 3번은 맞아야 정신 차릴 것 같아서
너무 무서워요.
오늘 야무지게 한번 요리해 보겠습니다.
네, 알겠습니다. 이영환 선수 그렇다면 마지막 질문인데요. 종합적으로 2조의 난이도를 손가락으로 표현했을 때 숫자 1부터 3까지 3이 가장 최고의 난이도다라고 했을 때 어느 정도의 난이도를 갖고 있다고 생각하시나요?
저는 이조는 제일 쉬운 조인 것 같아요.
아, 쉽다.
왜냐면 제가 항상 24강 하면은 한 2번 정도는 이재호, 김지성이랑 같은 조 한 적이 있었거든요. 그렇게 생각해 보면 뚫을 구멍이 없었는데 사실 이조는 누구랑 해도 제가 할 만하기 때문에
오.
컨디션만 좋고 제 플레이만 잘하면
1위 진출 가능한가요?
네, 가능할 것 같아요.
자, 그렇다면 홍덕 선수를 제외한 모든 선수가 본인의 1위 진출을 예상하고 있는 굉장히 흥미로운 구도의 2조가 되겠네요. 자, 끝으로 네 선수의 각오를 한 분씩 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 김명훈 선수.
네, 다른 선수들이 생각보다 되게 자신 있어 하는데 꼭 눌러주겠습니다.
아, 좋습니다. 홍덕 선수.
전부 다 자신 있어 하는 것 같은데 다 떨어뜨리고 싶어요.
굉장히 멋진 각오를 들려주셨고요. 이영환 선수.
네, 평소 하던 대로 제가 준비해온 거 잘 보여드리고 가겠습니다.
기대하겠습니다. 윤찬희 선수.
준비한 거 반만 해도 올라간다는 마인드예요. 오늘 보여드리겠습니다.
네 선수 과연 어떤 경기를 보여줄지 기대하도록 하겠습니다. 인터뷰 고맙습니다. 자, 이렇게 24강 2조 경기를 앞두고 있는 4명의 선수와 함께 이야기 나눠봤습니다. 승부욕이 굉장히 넘치는 4명의 선수들 과연 어떤 모습을 경기 안에서 보여줄 수 있을지 지금 바로 2조 경기 함께 하시죠.
Hello, everyone. It's time to go into Group E here for the ASL. It's been a great season so far, and I'm really curious to see how this group is going to go. We've had it be a little bit more Terran heavy to start off the players that have managed to survive here into the round of 16, but we're going to see if it stays that way as we move on in this season.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's going to balance out reasonably well. Looking at today's group, I think the Zerg players, you were saying that in the last episode, that you felt like the Zerg players are probably favored here. I think I do agree with you on that. These are some just ridiculously strong Zerg players, a two-time champion, a finalist. They are awesome. So probably going to add to that Zerg line a little bit here today, but they're going to be going up against some very strong, like more mid-tier players from Protoss and Terran.
Before we go into our matches, we just want to say to everybody out there who's been supporting us on Patreon, that's patreon.com/ASL English. We really appreciate it. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. We do have a new goal on the Patreon site. We hope to continue to get your support. And for those of you who are watching, I know there are a lot of you out there who've been meaning to hop on the Patreon and support us, but just haven't gotten around to it. We're trying to give you that push.
Yeah, thank you very much to everyone who has been subscribing so far. It's just fantastic and helps us do these high-quality VODs. I think that we're doing really well this season, getting them out very quickly. So thank you, everyone, for your support and the team for all the hard work. So, yeah, let's get into today's group a little bit. One of the last two groups that we're going to have here, Queen, Ruin, Shine, and Mong. You said it was Terran heavy to start. I feel like there's a... Mong, he has a chance to get out of this group, Tasteless. But I don't think he will. I think it's a tough group for him.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think, Mong is good, but I do feel like he might be the weakest player here. Shine, it's always funny because I feel like Shine, if he has to play most of the ASL players in let's say 10 to 15 games in a row, I don't know that he wins the series, but he knows how to take, one game, 2 or 3 games, enough to kind of make him go through a tournament, and he really knows how to plan.
He might have the best planning, other than maybe Mini, but Mini optimizes really weird builds, so maybe that's not right because Mini doesn't plan out best of ones necessarily well.
If Mini planned out better, he would be deeper in more ASLs.
He has. I guess the difference between them is Shine is a strategic mastermind and Mini is an optimizer. Mini super optimizes certain things, so it is a little bit different because we sometimes confuse things with strategy with build orders and stuff, and it's not actually the same. Shine, it's everyone can do everything kind of, but Shine really strategically has more depth than probably everybody else.
Well, he's really approaching the game in a way that the other Zergs are not even anywhere close to. And so it's going to be a lot of fun to see, what new stuff he comes up with. And by the way, he is still coming up with new stuff every ASL, which is insane. We've had so many seasons now.
Yeah, it was last season, I believe, right? It's been 2 hatchery mutas so much against Terran. He brought out a bunch of 3 hatchery builds and just slayed with them, was destroying everybody. And very different styles, too. But right now we're going to have Queen going up against Ruin. Queen, of course, a 2-time ASL champion. Certainly one of the best players in the league. And it feels like he's not quite as strong as he was, right? Like, he had this stretch that was like a Flash-esque stretch where he was like top 4, win, top 4, like that type of thing. But he hasn't done that for a couple seasons now. So, people are saying he's fallen off. I don't buy it. It's hard to keep up that level. And he'll be going up against Ruin. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Tastosis. I'm running over you here. I was just going to say, I mean, he was looking like he was going to be the usurper for a little bit, for the kind of star of ASL. It was like, oh, he might, he wins an ASL. Is he going to win another one? And then, how many ASLs do you win or almost win before we all look at you and say you're the greatest? And especially with Flash in the background right now, on a hiatus and not back here, it's got to be frustrating. He's risen to the very tops of all the players here in ASL. He wants to do it again, but the competition is fierce.
It certainly is. Now, going up against Ruin, as you saw, Ruin has a terrible record so far in ASL, but he's actually up and coming like right now. Okay, this is a player that you're watching him. He's getting into ASL each season. Dude, legitimately, he's like my favorite new Protoss player. I cast him a lot on my casting YouTube channel, and he just, he's really strong. He's at the edge of the meta, and he's going to have a breakout season in ASL. I just don't know if it'll be this one. This is a tough group.
It is a tough group, but I'm really glad you pointed out that Ruin is really on the rise. He is one of these newer players that does appear to have so much potential. And, this is something that we have to say is so specific to StarCraft, is that this game is not going to go away. And so you get somebody who's as good as he is, who shows so much promise. Who knows which ASL it is that he might have that crazy breakout performance. Now, that being said, this group is tough, especially with the 2 Zergs in here, but I think Ruin not only is good at his execution, he's also very good at prepping builds. So I'm very interested to see how he's going to open up here, PvZ versus Queen.
Yeah. He'll have something planned here on Heartbreak Ridge. I don't know if he's going to try to play aggressive or play like a standard macro game. I think it's hard for the newer players to go up against someone as experienced as Queen and pull off a standard macro game, but Ruin is very good at those. But whatever he does, I think it will be well thought out. Like, the guy really, he's putting in the time, he's putting in the effort. He's actually, you know what? He's kind of, not exactly, but he reminds me a little bit of when Soma was really coming up, where you're like, okay, this guy's super dedicated. You can see the skill, and he is putting in that effort. Because remember, there was these Soma interviews about that, where he's like, no, I want to win.
Yeah, and this is going to be maybe one of his biggest challenges yet. Getting in the zone here, you saw him looking up, trying to zero in on what he needs to do here. We're going to go to Heartbreak Ridge. 2.2 here to start this off with Queen versus Protoss. There are a lot of weird cheeses Protoss can do on this map. They were all done in over a decade ago. I don't know if we're going to see them this time around, but just throwing that out there. Start this PvZ off.
All right, so yeah, we had Queen on the right side and Ruin on the left side. I do wonder if some of these players actually go back, because Heartbreak Ridge is such an old map, as you mentioned. This was played back in the Kespa days. Do you go back and dig up the VODs for those games? Because you can, they're there. You can go back and look at every PvZ played at the pro level for when this map was out and be like, okay, are there any ideas here that I want to take? I feel like most pros don't do that, but I feel like something like that could be a really intelligent thing to do.
Yeah, some of the weirdest cheeses, you don't have to be that modern to see them. They were kind of hinged on the same ideas early on. And this is a map, 100%. I don't know what year exactly this came out on, but there's a lot of history on this map. Now, that being said, I think if you look up any of the games, once you get past mid-game, I think that the people's approaches in text, it was so primitive. But that can also be kind of an interesting thing to see how people, handled themselves and what they opened up with.
Yeah. This map, by the way, has been out since 2009 is when this map was first released.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's such a long time. What year
my
were
God.
you? So 14 years old, this map.
So this is like right after the 2008 financial crash. You and me are in Korea trying to convince people that not only Koreans like StarCraft 1. It was our conversation every night. It was over soju. People like, no, I promise you, Team Liquid is 10 times the size of InVen. And they're like, I don't think so. But yeah, man, it was a long time ago. But, that's what kind of makes StarCraft great, is that the game really wasn't changed that much. I mean, obviously there were cosmetic changes and remastered and, quality of life changes, like you can have a ladder you queue up on. But it is the same game. I mean, those Zerglings, they're the same Zerglings from 1998. Same Zealots. The edges of the map, the way the structures connect to it, it's all the same.
Yeah, the only real differences that came with Remastered, they fixed the sprite bug, because Valkyries were actually broken. They were literally never used before Remastered, because there was just a bug in the game. So they fixed that. And here's one other thing. What was it? I don't know. It'll come to me.
I'm not sure.
But a little bit of a Zergling pressure coming out here. He does go ahead and throw that Forge down. You can't let these Lings run in right now.
Yeah, this is not intended to break in, but what this does is it forces Protoss to get a Forge. This was actually just a little personal story. This was something that took me a while, right when I came back, to figure out that this is what I had to do. Because it feels wrong. There's no Speedlings coming, and they only have like 5 to 6 Zerglings here, right?
Yeah.
So it just feels like, this is like a lot that I have to do to react to this. But if you don't get the 3 Zealots out and wall with the Forge, now in this case, Ruin is trying to cut a corner. I guess not, actually. He doesn't have to make the cannon right away. But yeah, you have to get out more than you would normally get out. And it allows Zerg to drone up pretty comfortably behind this.
That is kind of a funny thing, right? Like, sometimes it feels wrong from the player aspect where you're like, wait, but that's 5 Lings. Like, 3 Zealots would murder 5 Lings. But it's like, well, you have to zone them out and stop them from killing your gateway. Because they're literally just attacking the gateway so that you come out so that they can run in. So it's like this funny song and dance that just has to be played. Yeah,
and if they do run in, the odds, especially at a player's level like Queen, he will just kill enough probes that it's going to be a problem. And then, they can always choose to make more Lings if they do get into your main and start to run around. So, any Protoss player will tell you that basically it's so important to just not let the Zerglings in, because if they do, then there's a whole bunch of problems that can sprout up from that.
Well, getting that cannon up looks like, Ruin has all of his defense ducks in a row. His probe is still alive out on the map, which is nice to see. That's one thing that I really feel sad about, like when it's one of the lower ranked Protosses. Like, if they lose that probe early, I'm like, you're playing blind already against Queen. Like, that's not the situation you want.
So this is looking pretty standard. Corsairs are going to be, the tech that he wants to go for. He is pressuring with Zealots. Notice the Queen is just showing the 5 Lings. He may try to bait him in further and then come in here and surround this and kill this. But I don't see any harm really in just trying to force your way in with the 3 Zealots. He does turn around, probably suspecting this may be too obvious. Wow, drones hatching everywhere. Dude, did Queen just actually not even make any more Lings?
Yeah, I think so, man.
Yeah, I guess he got, we see with two more over here. But it's like he's so getting the bare minimum, it's wild. The idea there is you go far out enough that you're going to force out, let's say 6 Lings or something like that, and then pull right back. But he's really not not doing anything like that. Now, this is double Stargate, which I almost missed. We were following those Zealots.
Yeah.
But this is going to get scouted with the Overlord.
Well, it's getting scouted, so that kind of sucks for Ruin. Do you just think that Queen is supposed to go into like a mass Hydra pre-storm timing bus? Because I feel like that's how I see people lose with this strategy.
I'm sorry, are you asking me if Ruin is thinking that, or if that's what Queen is supposed to do?
Basically, when I see 2 Stargate Corsair, when it loses, I feel like the loss, the majority of the time, is Hydra's hitting right before Storm.
Oh, yeah. Well, the idea is that if you are able to kind of put this in a spot they can't find, you win a Mutalisk fight. Like, they'll try to get the edge early on, you can overpower them, and you can pretty quickly take over the game and go into DTs here. You can also go into speed lots, charge lots off one gate. That's acceptable as well. It is very gas intensive. But you're 100% right, Artosis. I mean, when you get that gas that much into Corsairs, 2 at a time, and, you know, you're getting the air weapons. We see that. You're going to get Zealot speed here or DT, and you're getting +1 attack. I mean, it's bad, man. It's bad for that Storm upgrade that is an inevitability that you have to get. But if you can get in there with the Corsairs and maybe do some damage, maybe start to really tie the Zerg up as far as supply goes, you can pull something off, I think.
All right, well, right now, a Spore being made, all the Overlords kind of being sent towards the Hydra Rally Point plus Spore, because that is a lot of Corsairs, but it looks like he's going to catch some, maybe. There are a few coming up from that main. Ooh, the Scourge actually catch one of those Corsairs. And right now, it does look like he's going towards Storm. This might be the end of the Corsair production, as he's seeing a lot of Hydras come out.
Yeah, I mean, it's important if you go for the double Stargate Corsair that you don't just ditch making Corsairs entirely. You need to do something with them and probably generate threats on the Overlords to keep the Hydras back. But there is a very uncomfortable period of time here where if they get enough Hydras out, you know, they can just come in there and overpower you. And there's already quite a lot of Hydras on the map.
Yeah, this really is what I feel like I've seen so many times against the double Stargate Corsair. The Templar Archive is about halfway done. He has added some additional gates, so can put out maybe some more speed lots, but you know, Hydras, when they hit a critical mass here, should be able to just absorb those Zealots pretty well.
Yeah, you know, the cannons can hold on, but only for so long. You do need Storm. Eventually they can get so many Hydras they will just kill all your cannons. It does become ridiculous, but I think for now, Ruin might just have enough. He might be okay. Although I don't think he's okay for now. Zealots.
Yeah, bringing these Zealots out, kind of pushing back all of the Hydralisks. He has made a lot of cannons. He is adding more gateways still. I mean, if you're kind of like forcing them to skip out on any possibility of Mutalisks and Scourge, right, which is something that's been very popular lately, you force them into these Hydras, and then you kind of block that. You know, I gotta say, as a plus towards Ruin, whether this is going to work or not, he is dictating the flow of this game.
He's doing a good job, but the Hydra threat is not done yet. And even when you do get the Templars out, they are a little bit later. So it's kind of hard to get out. You know, Protoss spend so much of the early game, like, kind of caving themselves off, like blocking themselves in, barricading the entrance. But eventually it is going to be a struggle to get back out. And this is a crazy amount of Hydras, man. Keep in mind, he can try to dodge. I don't see any Storms coming out just yet.
Oh, no. He has the energy, but Psystorm probably not done yet. Every cannon is going to die. All the Zealots look like they're going to die. And, you know, you talk about this a lot, Tastosis, where you got to Storm before the cannons die. And now he's just going to lose everything. It's unfortunate, but I swear to God, this is exactly what I see every time when someone goes 2 Stargate Corsair.
Well, you know, it's not standard to go 2 Stargate Corsair. You're trying to hard counter mutas. And, I mean, look, Queen is a guy who's going to scout you and scout you very well. GG. You know, I don't know where you want to hide the Stargate. You can try to make a Dragoon to kill that Overlord, but then, you know, that sort of raises some alarm. Like, why do you have a Dragoon right away? Yeah, you know, that is how you beat someone who goes double Stargate. Cut your losses. Don't tech into mutas. Don't try to take them head on. That's how you lose. Now, if he had hidden that Stargate well enough, and then mutas are hatching, and they encounter +1 attack Corsairs, I mean, you know, Ruin wins. But, you know, this is one of the reasons why you don't want to bet your strategy, especially in a game like this in the ASL, on your opponent making a mistake.
That's well said. And Queen is not someone that makes many mistakes. You don't make it to the top 4 as many times as he did. You don't win 2 championships by falling to something like that in a best of one. So very well executed there from Queen. Seems pretty textbook from him, not a tough first round. We'll see what Rune can do against our other players, but again, this group, I think for him is very, very difficult, even though I really believe in the kid.
Yeah, he's not out yet. Queen is going to go on to the winner's match, and this means we're going to have Shine versus Mong coming up next. It should be an interesting match. What is Shine cooking up for this next game? Could be something crazy. It often is. We'll be right back, guys. Don't go away.
상큼함 맥스, 칼로리 X, 맛있는 탐스 제로. 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로, 탐스 제로. 같이 떠나볼래?
솔직히 인간적으로 두 개 다 가졌어요 baby 칼로리 제로 맛은 제대로 그래 걱정 빼고 고민 빼고 맘소리 빼고 This is zero life This is zero life 뺄 건 뺐어 질성 제대로 맛있어 제대로 없어도 되는 건 빼고 사이다 제로 칠성 사이다 제로
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the ASL. We're going to be going into a ZVT that hopefully will be a little bit more of a dynamic game than the one we just casted. But before we get into that, we want to remind everybody out there, this event, this production wouldn't be possible without you guys. A few years ago, AfreecaTV decided to cut the English broadcast for this. We were able to convince them to give us a clean feed of the VOD, and we would use our own editors and translators and stitch together an English version of this broadcast. But we need your support. So please go to patreon.com/ASL English if you have not already.
Yeah, and honestly, I love the format that we're doing now. I've seen a lot of positive feedback as well, especially with like everything perfectly translated as opposed to someone live just doing it off the fly. I think the overall quality of these VODs has gone up dramatically. So thank you, everyone, for helping to fund that, helping us to keep ASL alive.
Yeah, sign up for a year if you haven't already. We really appreciate the support. And, you know, the truth is most people, when they consume StarCraft 1 professional stuff, they're not doing it live. The timing, I mean, occasionally you could try to tune in live, but most people, they have jobs, they have school, they have kids. And so, you know, you consume a show like this kind of like you would consume your favorite TV drama. Avoid spoilers when you've got the time, sit down, tune in, have fun. And I think because we can make I think, you know, you're in my opinion, Artosis, but I think everybody agrees this is just a better product overall because of the translations and because of the kind of editing that we can do.
Definitely agree with you on that. Now, that being said, we have our second match about to begin. It's going to be Shine against Mong. You know, this is it's an interesting matchup because Shine is very strategic, and then Mong is really mechanical. Mong, like, has been kind of teased within the pro scene for having much weaker Terran vs. Zerg than his other matchups, but I think he's filled that in quite a bit. I think he's gotten a lot better in the last couple of years at Terran vs. Zerg. But, I mean, Shine is looking to have an edge just by doing a few things strategically, like hiding what he's doing to some degree, you know, tricking out what you're up to, right? Like he wants you to, for instance, make a siege tank while he's going Guardians, or go double Science Vessel when he's going Lurker Hydra. You know, something like that is going to give him a big edge. But we'll see how Mong can do, because if Mong can have a decent opening and get into, you know, starport tech basically without being behind, that could become a very hard game for Shine, because Mong is very good mechanically. He can macro a lot of units out.
Shine is just about the only player in the whole world who you can know he's going to do something cheesy, and that still doesn't help you. So let's hop into this game. You know, Shine is a guy he does play to try to win the ASL. I'm curious what he's going to bring out here against Mong, because no doubt he's got a lot of cool ideas to take on the many Terran players that we have in this season of ASL so far. And by the way, with this map especially, by the way, Mong in the left, Shine on the right. This map especially, I want to see what Shine's going to do, because this map does allow for a lot of weird cheeses, and there were a lot of weird cheeses when it was used in the past.
That's very true. There's all sorts of things I could see him doing here, like you know, slow Overlord lurker drop, running things in the back. It's really hard to say, but certainly he will have it well planned, right? Like, this is, for him, I think this best of one format is very, very good. The round of 24, because like you look at this and he can probably say, okay, I need to have a very good plan, one for each matchup. That's not that much for him to deal with, right? We've seen him plan best of fives. Look at that Firebat
It's
hero.
Firebat hero. Yeah, I mean, he's just like I don't know. There's a lot you can do on this map. So I'm excited. Mong, I think, is again a very strong player. Also, one of these guys doesn't seem to be too phased coming down to the studio. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let's see how this game goes, man. I'm excited to see this ZVT.
Yeah, so nothing out of the ordinary as of yet. I mean, this looks like it's going to just be a hatchery first, and Mong is just doing like a walled expansion here. The type of wall he's doing does have a hole that Zerglings can get through, but it also allows your Marines to pop out, like, you know, in a place where you can actually save them. So, like, everything looking pretty standard overall. Not surprised to see Mong walling, by the way, because, you know, that's one of the things. You're, like, cutting off Zergling aggression. As soon as you do something like this, it's like, as long as they don't 4-pull, you're basically not afraid of Zerglings at all.
Right. Shine went for hatchery into pool, so everything looks normal, but many times with the weird stuff that Shine doesn't really develop until a layer finishes.
And he actually gets the 2-hatch gas timing, which is going to be different from last season, right? If I'm Mong, I'm probably looking at how he's played recently in ASL, and it was more 3-hatch stuff before. This will be 2-hatch. So it's a completely different game, right? It's like, it's the same units, but it's really a completely different game playing 3-hatch or playing 2-hatch. So the timings all align completely differently. It allows you to do different things as Terran. So this is going to be like a more standard-looking opening here that Mong is going to have to contest.
Yeah, and that's cool to see that Shine making these pretty big adjustments from season to season. I do want to watch for other games and see if this is a pattern that develops. Layer starts on at 2-hatch. Now, we could all look at this from the Zerg's perspective and say, okay, what is the standard play? Well, that would probably be to see a Spire after this layer finishes. But it Shines, so let's point out some things that could happen that are different. It's not the most uncommon thing, but it is probably less proper to go for a Lurker Den, or a Hydra Den, excuse me, and to Lurker Tech, and then try to bust. But it's Shine. It could happen. Drop could also come from this. With some other weird tech. The third hatchery is put up here in kind of a funny location. I really like that location, actually. That's kind of cool. Although, does that hatchery block the Zerg out of getting up to the area above it?
Yes.
Well, isn't that sort of a problem if something were to be dropped up there?
Well, actually, I think what he's most afraid of, so you can't really, when someone goes 2-hatchery, you can't really go dropship at all in the early game.
Oh, yeah, I guess
because the
true.
mutas are out too fast. So, yeah, what this would do would block something like Vultures trying to get in through the back, which is something you could do before the mutas come out.
Oh, that's so smart. Okay, yeah, I'm not seeing this right. No, those are all great points, Tastosis. Yeah, because that is more of a likely thing that could happen, especially if the mutas are across the map or something, as Vultures would try to run up there. Second gas is going to be taken here, too.
You know, it may be later once, like, mutas are dead, like, as we hit the late game, like Hive Tech and stuff. You might be able to get, like, a drop up there, which would be very annoying at that point. But, yeah, it's I like that for the early game. Here, Mong is going... This looks like a Valkyrie rush. He's going for that very quick factory, and we saw the Academy as well. So this should be just a very, very quick Valkyrie coming out, which that's really been the huge trend. There's been like huge strides in how to play Valkyrie builds, which has really changed this matchup quite a bit. And in fact, when I was looking through the brackets, Tasteless, of the qualifiers, because it's like, wow, a lot of Terrans qualified. What happened here? And I looked through, and it was really Terrans upsetting Zergs is what basically happened in the qualifiers, where like there were a lot of matches where you'd think the Zerg player might win, like he might be a favorite Zerg, but then the Terran ends up winning. And a lot of that is because of what Light has shown us with Valkyries, what can be done.
Yeah, the Valkyries was a pretty dramatic change here once they did fix that bug. We were talking about this earlier in this show, but yeah, that was one of the few things they fixed, is that the missiles don't disappear when they fire. Look at this. I've never quite seen that little engagement.
Yeah.
That's so funny. He baits out the medic and then kind of, uses the tankiness of its HP to keep it alive, and he could send that back and have it be healed up on top of one of the other medics.
His turrets are just slightly late here. A little bit greedy from Mong. You actually need to start the turrets the second the mutas hatch, right? So he has nothing at his wall. He's going to get these up, and since the mutas go to the wall, he'll get the rest of them up in time. But those could have dived into the main base and gotten some SCVs as well. So a little bit greedy here from Mong, a little bit off on his timings.
Yeah, he is going to hit that depot. One thing about having a wall in here is you can use those glaives to hit the wall in, and that can chain on to other buildings or even other units like SCVs or Marines. And, I mean, this is really good control. Now, when the Valkyrie comes out here, it shouldn't give the Zerg any a foothold any longer outside of this natural position to try to fight this.
Now, Zergs have gotten very good at playing against Valkyrie builds, just to throw that out there, because they've been so popular. There was actually a week period where, like, Zergs were only all-inning in this matchup because they got so sick of the Valkyries. But Mong here with the Valks, like, he's going to have to watch out for a few different things that can happen. Things like a mass lurker transition. There's a possibility a lot of Zergs like to just add in Scourge and try to catch those Valkyries, because if you kill the Valkyries, there's not enough bio. You're spending so much money on those Valkyries. You got them so quickly. The mutas will wreck everything if you can snipe the Valkyries.
Yeah, he's going to come in here once more. Got to be careful not to overextend. Oh, my God, he gets them both. That's crazy. In a cloud of missiles, those Scourge do disappear. And, I would have to imagine there's going to... Okay, he's scanning every spot. But the reality is that Shine's not expanding. Basically, Mong is trying to figure out, okay, where's your third base? Where's the target? Where do I need to go to attack? Well, the answer is actually nowhere. Shine's going to expand pretty late.
It looks like he is going for probably a mass lurker switch here, where, Mong is focusing heavily. Like, for instance, you see that armory spinning? That's most likely +1 Valkyrie attack. That's a very popular upgrade right now. But if he's doing things like making Valkyries, getting Valkyrie attack, and just making some light bio, once there's lurkers out, what can you do? You can't really break that with these, unupgraded Marines and Valkyries.
Yeah, lurkers are fantastic against Marines without detection. Keep in mind, hold position lurker can't really be countered in any way unless you have a vessel. +1 air attack for the Zerg is up, by the way. So this is here to continue to dish out damage. This really signals to me that he wants to make something work in the next couple fights up here. Lurkers are almost done. And I feel like Shine is going to get into a pretty comfortable spot in a little bit here, Tastosis. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so, right? He's got, the speedlings checking the side. He's got a lot of vision of the map. It is a very late third, like you pointed out, but if you get the right amount of lurkers in front of Terran, it slows them down a lot. Now, I see that machine shop spinning. That could be siege mode, or it could be mines. It's very popular to go vulture and mines with this, but if the lurkers get up here and actually get a containment, okay, it is going to be siege, so that's very good for Mong. But here comes the lurker lane.
Oh my God, he's getting right up in there. Some great lurker shots. It actually kills less than I thought it would. And the bunkers here, the tanks here, there's not quite enough lings, I think, to really justify another push in. In fact, I think backing up is probably the wiser choice. The third base is being taken in the top right. Shine basically really taking his time. The hive has immediately started. So we don't even have the third gas being used yet, but the Hive is already inbound here.
Yeah, this is going to be like all about Shine slowing down this attack. You can see that he is breaking in through those back temples right now. And already Mong is setting up a bunker back there, so he kind of realizes that this is the next step here coming out of Shine. But Mong is getting ready for a mech switch, by the way. Like, as soon as you see this type of build and he's not getting +1 in the engineering bay, it means that he wants to go into, you know, vultures and siege tanks to go with the Valkyries. But he's going to have to, like, push these lurkers back and be careful, because with the Hive coming up, if Dark Storm comes, man, like, that can absolutely kill mech too.
Yeah, very true. A scan comes here. I just see 3 lurkers. Oh, well, there's 3 more that are going to come up here. But, I mean, Mong's basically ready. Shine does appear to be getting loosened up out of the spot. Oh, man, he loses all 3 of the lurkers.
Ooh, that is a little bit rough, because he split a bunch of lurkers over the other side. So now Mong is just being very, very aggressive. And this is what I was a little bit worried about for Shine, is if Mong is okay after Starport Tech, like nothing too bad has happened to him, like he's got some tanks, he's got some bio, he's got some Valkyries, like his mechanics are really good. He's going to macro heavily, he's getting onto the map, and we'll see if he can actually gain this map control that's so important.
He does take out 1 tank. By the way, what does +1 air attack do to Valkyries versus Mutas? What does that look like? That's hold position lurkers.
It's insane.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
My god.
Oh, the sickest hold position lurker ever.
Oh, did you see Mong's face?
No, I didn't.
That is, god.
Dude, that's a game-winning move there. Like, Shine probably will win this game now. That is crazy.
Yeah. That was so sick. I actually thought Mong would have seen the eggs.
Oh, man. Well, here's the thing. When you're playing this style, Tasteless, you have to be very careful with your scans, because you don't have vessels. So he's not really scouting ahead of where he's going. He's just trying to figure out where things are at. Now, the lurkers run up for a very offensive burrow here. They get rid of that siege tank. They might need to back up. There's not quite enough here to just bust right now, I think. And yeah, he is going to start pulling back.
This is so weird.
Huh?
He's going to try to get the scanner.
Oh.
I guess the reality is that you know you're not really working with very much without vessels. So like anything you can get that gets rid of that. Thing is, the scanner makes so fast. Scanner remakes faster than a, you know, it'll regen energy.
That's right.
It's kind of funny.
There were times back in the days where there was like this theory with Terran where if you were dealing with DTs, just kill your own scanner and remake it to get another scan. No one does it nowadays,
funny.
But yeah, definitely.
Oh my god. Well, you know, Mong, it seems like the moment that he got, you know, the wind in his sails to move out, that was when the hold position lurker shut him down. One of the biggest hold position lurker plays in ASL, by the way. That was massive. For the uninitiated, you can grab an Overlord and a lurker and hit hold position on it, and it just won't attack until you tell it to. It's a bug that's legal.
Yep. And there's definitely been a lot of situations over the years to the point where the game had to evolve into science vessels coming out before move-outs lots of the time. Like, that's a big part of why we get science vessels before walking around the map, right? Because if you can't keep track of lurkers, then, like, hold position will just kill you. Before anyone used that, you would actually run around with your units and just, like, move back when spines hit you.
Exactly, yeah. It was... you know, it's one of these things that Terrans used to be able to roam freely, and at least, you know, the lurker would alert them, or, you know, people would use stop spamming, like we would spam stop on the lurker. That was also the original trick, but it's like it was so hard to, you know, if you're spamming stop, you're not doing anything else. But with hold position, you can like lock them in there permanently and just wait for them to come through. And it was basically the inspiration for Banelings being able to burrow in StarCraft 2.
Yeah. That's actually, I remember when StarCraft 2 came out, you and I were like predicting we'd see a lot of that, and we ended up not seeing it. But yeah, it's such a powerful move, and you can see why. Like Shine taking a position where it looked like he was gonna start losing the game, and then turns around immediately. Now Shine is actually going up the back with a Defiler, and Mong has no idea.
Yeah, and this Defiler is going to set up shop right over where the SCVs are mining. I mean, one Dark Swarm here. This is going to be the end of mining at this base, and then all Shine has to do is try to hold this push off.
Oh man, Mong is really getting destroyed right now, unfortunately. It felt like he had a good opening, and he dealt with the mid-game fine, and suddenly he's lost control of everything. Look at this. He's like trying to kill some stuff out of the map, and well, his Valkyries can still do a lot. That is one thing to mention. Like when you start getting this many +1 Valkyries, the speed with which they kill Zerg Air becomes comical.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is where it gets crazy. You think Corsairs are bad, but wait until you have, like, just the kind of splash that these guys have. So this is not without its own problems here for Shine, but I got to say, I mean, the fact that there are Defilers over here that can keep punishing over and over again at this natural expansion means that Mong's going to not be able to get any more income in a little bit here.
It's a huge problem. He doesn't have a Radiate. He, you know, has very minimal as far as
He doesn't
detection.
have a Vessel, yeah.
Yeah. You do want to eventually actually go Vessel with this build. Like Light generally, and he's the one that's really kind of tweaked a lot of these builds, but he'll generally end up going for Vessels eventually in a lot of situations, but here it's been kind of crazy. There's been a lot of action, so Mong has skipped out on that. But, I mean, you can tell how tough this situation is. He's trying to break through Lurker Defiler right now with Vultures.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to watch. With the one Vessel over here, at least he doesn't have the strain of having to wait for scans to be available. Another Lurker and one Defiler, and oh man, Artosis.
Dude.
Once this Dark Swarm is set up in the Lurker burrows, it's so difficult to deal with. It's so hard.
Yeah, like a single Lurker under Dark Swarm, you could have 50,000 tanks. They can't hit it. Like, they just...
Yeah, they will not do damage if it's burrowed.
It's one of the big frustrations of mech, right? That one, it looks like the Lurker, the Defiler was standing on top of it, so it actually did end up taking some damage. You got to be careful about that. But eventually this will run out and he'll be able to clear it. But right now it's killing SCVs, it's preventing gas mining. Very painful stuff. Shine is just being as annoying as he can be.
Just to clear up any confusion, anything that's on ground that gets hit and with splash damage, that can transfer to other units that are next to it. So that's how you kill something that's underground, where even though the tanks can all shell onto the Lurker directly, it won't deal damage with burrowed, but if an allied unit is on top of it, the splash damage can transfer onto that. It's a weird concept.
That's right. What Dark Swarm actually does is it makes all the shots miss. And when shots miss, they go to the left side. And so basically, yeah, if you have something placed just right, that splash damage will suddenly hit. So it's like a funny thing.
Over.
This game is old.
Yeah, it's like a weird. It's a funny thing because like I don't think about it or challenge it ever, but then when I was thinking about saying it out loud, I'm like, oh, that is so weird. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Mong is trying to recover here, okay? Let's talk about what he actually has going on that's good, because Shine made so many good moves in there and really felt like he got ahead. But if you look at this situation, like, Mong is taking a third. He's got mech units, which are pretty cost-efficient. And Shine didn't really expand a whole lot, right? He's only got 3 bases right now.
Yeah, it's funny. We've kind of been watching this from Mong's perspective for a while, but Shine is sort of lagged out with the growth that he needed to have here. You're supposed to have at least 4 bases, I'd say. Looks like he's going to deny that expansion over there in the bottom right. Terran is getting a new base up, so there is a way to take this game on into the future here. The mutas are going to come out, though. I don't really see anything to fight these mutas.
There's only 2 Valkyries left. He's sending them down, but with 2 Scourge, like, the mutas will kill those. So he's killing so many tanks completely for free. This is the worst case scenario for Mong. This was a very smart move from Shine.
Oh my God! Somehow those Scourge didn't connect. I don't even quite understand what I saw right there.
Yeah, it looks like they kind of bugged out a little bit, unfortunately. Now, Mong he's got the +1 on those Valks, but more mutas are coming. Shine is really going hard on these mutas and eliminating these siege tanks, hurting these SCVs. Right when we were talking about Mong maybe starting to fight back, Shine hits him with another twist.
This is so many kills on tanks. I mean, these tanks were like, whoa, 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 whoa!
Oh my God, dude! He had like 16 mutas or something, and suddenly 1 Irradiate and a few Valkyrie. missiles, and he loses a hell of a lot of gas in those mutas.
That was pretty crazy, man. I mean, I gotta say, I'm stunned to see them shut down like that. But he's remaking the mutas. You know, Goliaths are coming back. There were a lot of tanks killed off. That may play into this later on because I think it was something like 7 or 8 tanks were killed back there. I mean, eventually you can get Hydras in mass like we're seeing here. So there is still some play here for Shine.
Yeah, I actually still like Shine's position more. If all those tanks hadn't died, then like I was actually starting to believe that Mong had a chance. Right now, Shine has a lot more units, and don't forget he has speed overlords with drops. So that's something that Mech can have a hard time with. There's no defense really in Mong's main, so a massive drop with those tanks way out in the front trying to defend the front path, like you're going to lose so much by the time you get back.
Oh, the drop is smart, of course. He's going to force all the tanks back. I actually think he should... Oh, he just did what I said he should do. He pulls away. When he sees it get scanned, he knows, oh, the Terran's going to move anyways.
That is brilliant. That is such a good move. And look at this. He walks back in this direction, and then the Overlords, they switch again. We don't know where they're going to go.
Where will they go? What will they do?
Oh, my God. All right, the Muta's coming up with the drops, and Shine is just going to engage the army. This is the one time Mong might really be able to come back. The Siege Tank Goliath can do pretty well against these Hydras, but the Mutas help to pick off the Siege Tanks. Now we have just a very medium amount of Goliaths left. He is trying to stutter step backwards and kite these Mutalisks, but it feels like Shine might just have enough to break everything.
Yeah, this is a very critical location he's going to break into. He does get the... Yeah, he does get the Valkyrie, excuse me. And this is going to open up this position down here. It's kind of funny, by the way, to see Zerg dropping onto Goliaths that are firing at them. I think, though, that the complexity of Mong's army is basically gone. Without tanks, he doesn't really have much to do versus the ground. And without the Valkyries, he can't really respond to the air. Goliaths are only so good in these positions.
Yeah, like the Goliaths, earlier on, they might be able to fight against this type of thing, but losing that complexity is so important, you know. When you're the race that has to, you know, have fewer bases than your opponent and fight back, you need to keep, you know, whether it's High Templars you keep them alive in PvZ or the Siege Tanks with Mech, you really do need to retain those and gain value out of them over time. And unfortunately here for Mong, he's not going to be able to do anything.
Oh, my God. Yeah, and he can just basically keep, you know, oh, my God, and the Great Plague over there on the Goliaths. I mean, this is, he's just going to slowly move in to the point where he can target the command center.
It's getting worse and worse. I heard a tank siege up there, but not really able to do much. Mong looks like he's going to be going to that loser match, man, which is going to give us a Zerg versus Zerg match in the winners match here.
Yeah, this will be an interesting one to see as well. I think Queen definitely the favorite going into that, but let's see what Shine can do. Shine, very interesting game, very exciting one too. I mean, talk about a lot of really crazy moments in this whole thing. Oh my God, did you see him just soak that mine by turning it into an egg and then cancel it? That was crazy.
That was a great micro there from Shine, who continues to bust through the Siege Tanks, dealing some damage to these Hydras. So, like, maybe Mong technically doesn't die right at this second, but if you look at the supply in the top right, you can see that Shine is destroying. He's taken a 5th base at this point. He's just got too much.
Yeah, this is... I mean, well, there's just no way to recover, man. I mean, I think that Shine is maybe overextending a little bit here, but he's going to get in with these lurkers and, you know, eventually the tanks are going to be pushed in too far. GG. Quite an insane game, though. We might be in for a long night, Tastosis. This has been a wild first 2 games.
Yeah, that was actually a lot of fun, that one, honestly. Very back and forth. Shine using his big brain, using every trick in the book, and outdoing Mong there. But next, he's going to have a Zerg vs. Zerg. And, you know, I would say this is the matchup with the least strategy. So it's a little bit harder for Shine to really pull a quick one here over on Queen.
Yeah, the build orders are very restricted. I'd say there's still a lot of strategy, but there's not like any kind of fast one you can pull as easily on the opponent early on. But man, Shine looking great today, I gotta say. Very exciting games. And Mong, I thought he put up a great fight. It was a dramatic match. Looked for a little bit like he was going to win that. He just needed a couple more Valkyries and better coverage of those tanks. I think with the tanks that he had, all he had to do was keep most of those alive, and he would have easily gone into a mid-game where he should have had a lead up there against Shine. Anyways, guys, ZVZ coming up next. We will be right back.
상큼함 맥스, 칼로리 X, 맛있는 함스 제로. 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로, 우리들의 제로, 함스 제로. 같이 떠나볼래?
Look at me, baby, I'm the queen. I'm free.
Welcome back, everybody. We are now going to the winners match of Group E. We expected these two players to get here. And I don't know about you, Tastosis, but I'm betting you're on the same page as me. You're probably expecting Queen to advance here versus Shine, unless Shine really surprises us.
Yeah. There's not as much for Shine's skill set to do in this matchup, but to be fair, like when he first came on the scene, he was really known for his Mutalisk micro more than his strategic play. So he does have excellent Mutalisk micro, but like Queen is like the epitome of that, right? Like he's really shown us time and time again that he really knows how to win a Zerg versus Zerg. But you know, it's best of one. There are build order advantages and disadvantages, and also our map is going to be Nemesis. So there's, you know, it feels like there is some possibility of Shine figuring something out with one of these side bases that can't really be attacked by Lings, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Nemesis does make this a little bit more interesting. Yeah, let's see what happens here. I do like a good ZVZ here. I do hope we get into a mid-game, possibly even a late game here with these two and see what exactly they're going to try to do. Queen is just extremely well-rounded, extremely tactical, and extremely sharp with his micro. I feel like in this matchup, really all the stats are a little bit higher here for Queen. And in Shine's ingenuity, it's going to be hard to make that shine through, especially to be competitive against the fundamentals that Queen already has.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you on that. Well, here we go. It is the winner's match. The winner between Shine and Queen will go on to the round of 16.
I like when you said winner's match back there, Toes. Like, it's the winner's match.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's watch these gamers game.
So, Queen in the top right, Shine in the top left. You know, I don't think it's super likely to see a third base, but this map probably more likely to see a third than a lot of maps, just because it's less likely that you have to defend it against Zerglings. But yeah, let's see how it goes. I guess it's. I feel like, you know, you can try to build up a Zerg vs Zerg as much as you want, and then both of them go like one hatch layer, and I'm like, all right. there you have it. 8 drones. Let's go.
It's a funny thing. Like, out of all the RTS games I know, this is the one. This matchup, out of all the matchups and all the RTS games I know, this is the one where it's like, yeah, you don't get a lot to work with.
Yeah. Like,
you really don't get a lot to work with. But it is fun nonetheless. And let's see what Shine can do. You know, it would be foolish to fully discount Shine, but
no, I wouldn't. You know, I wouldn't fully discount. I mean, he has good Mutalisk micro. He knows what to do. Anything could happen here, truly. Oh, and actually, never mind. Queen is bottom right for. Dude, I do this
Oh,
all
did
the
you
time, like when I'm playing. Yeah, I'm sure you must do this too, where you start mining your minerals and stuff, and you decide that you're like top instead of bottom or something, and your buildings are in the wrong place.
Yes. I'm sure people that watch do that. It's funny because right when I came back after my wrists had gotten better and I started streaming again, it's one of the first things I kept doing every time, man. I would like get my starting location confused.
Yeah.
And if I'm not paying attention, I mean, it's a problem, man. But we've got Shine top left, Queen bottom right, to clarify for everybody. Now, one thing I want to mention about Shine here, and what I'd like to see from him to really kind of complete him as a player, is I would like to see him just dial back a little bit from the cheesiness. And by the way, the last game we saw was that. That was just a very good straight-up ZVT. He didn't do anything crazy. He didn't do anything all-in. Shine was, out of all the players we've ever had since StarCraft Remastered launched, actually, I would say even since ASL launched, he was the most predictably cheesy all-in-y player of every single player in the ASL.
Yeah.
Okay? That's not even necessarily bad because he got to a finals before and died to Flash, which, it's like, I mean, you're going to lose to somebody in the finals. It might as well be Flash. But, I think the path to being the best at StarCraft, it has to be this never-ending process of kind of developing all the different skill sets that you need to have, of being ready for so many different types of games, learning the nuance in so many different types of situations. And I think what would make Shine an even better player is if he cheesed maybe just 30% less.
Well,
and tried to stick with the fundamentals.
Yeah, he actually can play a mean macro game too.
Yeah.
There are certainly players that never do macro games, but he absolutely can, and we've seen that. I actually remember when he was a StarCraft 2 pro for a bit, him beating Flash straight up in pure macro in one of the games back when they were both active in that. So he definitely knows how to do it. It's just when does he do it? But you're right, that last game he did do a good job of keeping some of those fundamentals. Now, it looks like Queen is going to be able to sneak in here and see the amount of lings being made.
Okay.
This is, Shine is just, he's gone 2 hatch in his main base and quick speed and stopped mining gas. So he's kind of all in right now. I mean, you're never completely all in, I guess, in Zerg vs. Zerg because you're so low econ anyways. But he has done nothing but make lings.
Now, this is so many lings, I almost feel like there's no way that Queen can actually survive this. This should be just a massacre here, even with the drone position right here, even as the Sunk is coming in.
Targets that drone down pretty quickly. Morlings are hatching here, though, for Queen. And he does have a Sunken coming up, but it is a ling advantage right now for Shine. Morlings coming out. The Sunken does finish up. Look at this, 180 health, not too bad. And if Queen does nothing but make lings from here, I think it's a hold.
You might be right. The Sunk is not, what's that, half health, I think? Yeah, a little bit over half health, 60% of its health is there. With good control, you can kind of attack, scoot away and attack and milk out maybe another second or two of damage here. The drone count is not great for Queen, and he's not mining gas. He's going to make, I think, a second creep tumor here. Yep, creep colony, excuse me. I'm getting my StarCrafts mixed up here.
He's making another spine crawler, I think is what you meant to say.
That's right. I think Queen may be in the clear.
Yeah.
But I would not be shocked.
Yeah.
Now, the Spire started, so maybe he wants to attack. And 2 Sunken Colonies and Lings is a lot.
It is something that you don't want to attack into. But he has the layer done. He has a Spire on the way, and he already has the natural expansion. So I would definitely agree with you. It looks to me very much so like Queen has the advantage. But I like what Shine is doing. The fact that he's taking a 3rd hatchery, he's making it at his natural. And I believe he's going to start droning up a little bit here. He's going to have to go into spore colonies, but, 3 hatch macro, he can actually get a reasonable economy with that, and maybe he just keeps making lings. Maybe I'm dumb. He's like, yeah, no, that 3rd hatch, I'm going to make him think I'm expanding, but really, it's more Zerglings.
Yeah, he might just keep making lings. He's got so many now. keep in mind that there's going to be some larva banked for, you know, a Mutalisk or two.
Dude, that is a
Drones are gonna
lot
come
of
out here.
links. But double sunken, and the evolution chamber is brilliant.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh my god, a really fantastic evolution chamber. Here we go, Shine getting in there. The surface area not as good as he had hoped with this many lings. And, okay, well, he like equalizes the ling count, but he had to spend a lot of larva to do that.
Yeah, there is no anti-air. So one Muta flies over that base, and you're in trouble. And I feel like this is going to fizzle out because Queen is almost there. I think he just made the one Muta. I just saw 100 gas.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the play too, right? Like if you and look at this, remaking that evolution chamber to just block the surface area a bit. He just needs to make sure he doesn't die. And now he's got that one Muta. And just, I mean, add some damage to the lings. But hold on, like, this sunken is going to fall. One Muta doesn't add damage that quickly. If he breaks the second sunken, can he break through?
It seemed like he was afraid that the ramp might be breached.
Yeah. Well, he's going to go after the sunken again, which I think is
he
like
needs to.
That's the crux of the defense. But I think with two Mutas now, you're dealing with his lings too efficiently.
This is such a funny situation. I feel like you always want at least one or two lings to tank in front of the sunk, just because the sunk is what's going to give you the permanence there. And I guess, yeah, just take out the overload. Just take out whatever's going to be around here. That will supply block him, actually, if he kills that one. And, yeah, you know, the Mutas, it's funny, too, the glaives, they probably add just a little bit, just enough to make a difference. It's the funniest thing.
Well, down go those lings. Shine is trying to split these up and pick off some drones and whatnot. I wonder if he's getting an evolution chamber at home. Like, is there any point in him trying to make this game go further? It doesn't look like it. I think he's like, no, you know, there's no reason to just lose in 5 minutes. Let's try to win.
Yeah, and I think Queen's got the right idea. You know, he sends just, what is it, one or two Mutas over here. Yeah, one Muta to basically come in there and start to damage the drones and start to really make this a game that's, well, he's going to attack the Evo Chamber. All right, that's it. GG. Okay. All right, you two.
Look at the smirk here on Queen's face. It's like
he's
the
like, this
cheesiest.
guy.
Dude, you have to go to probably B rank on ladder to play against something that cheesy. What a move
Dude,
from
it's
Shine.
so funny because, you know, even when the game started, it was like, oh, is Shine going to kind of do something normal? Like I was mentioning earlier, like, you know, if he cheeses a little bit less, and then we see he's just hit a bunch of lings back there and he's going to go for it again. By the way, guys, Shine not eliminated. Not eliminated here. He's going to be in the final match. Queen is surviving. He's moving on, and he's a real threat this season. If you're a Zerg player, Zerg fan, keep your eye on this guy. He is probably going to go very deep in this ASL.
Yeah, like Queen, I mean, he's always on the short list of possible winners for ASL, like every single season. He's done it multiple times before, one of the only people to do that. But we're going to go ahead and hear from him in an interview. This was probably the easiest round of 24 he's ever gone through, honestly. He just killed both these guys, like, pretty straightforwardly.
Yeah, definitely a player ready to go to the round of 16. We're going to go to that interview now and see how he's feeling now that he survived Group E.
ASL 시즌 15 24강 2조 경기 함께하고 계십니다. 오늘의 첫 번째 16강 진출자가 나왔는데요. 바로 저그 김명훈 선수입니다. 지금 바로 만나보시죠. 진출 축하드립니다.
네, 감사합니다.
벌써 7시즌 연속 16강에 안착하고 있는 김명훈 선수입니다. 이 커리어답게 굉장히 안정적인 경기력도 인상적이었는데요. 16강 진출 소감 어떠신가요, 김명훈 선수?
뭐 조가 좀 다들 쉽다 그래가지고 저는 좀 솔직히 방심은 안 했거든요. 근데 다들 조가 쉽다 그래가지고 떨어지면 큰일 나겠구나 했는데 다행히 올라간 것 같아요. 네.
승자전에서도 저저전이 단판으로 있어서 아마 좀 머릿속이 복잡하셨을 것 같은데 어떠셨나요?
뭐 그렇게 생각하실 수도 있는데 이영환이라면 무조건 뭔가 온다라고 생각을 하고 네, 최대한 정찰 잘하고 저글링을 좀 맞춰서 뽑으면은 뭐든 잘 맞춰갈 수 있을 것 같아서 그렇게 생각을 했었어요.
그래서 역시 이영환 선수의 이 저글링까지 정찰을 완벽한 타이밍에 잘 해 나가면서 이후에도 전혀 뭐 당황하는 기색이 없으시더라고요. 굉장히 침착하게 잘 막아내면서 입구 쪽을 승리를 가져가셨는데 16강은 김명훈 선수 입장에선 좀 순조롭게 올라갔다라는 느낌이 드실 것 같아요. 오늘의 경기력 만족스러우신가요?
네, 생각보다는 저도 여기 오랜만에 와서 오랜만에 게임하면은 긴장이 좀 되더라고요. 근데 생각보다 게임이 쉽게 잘 풀린 것 같아서 오늘은 쉽게 올라간 것 같아요.
이 전 시즌들 16강에 머무르셨을 때는 경기 전에 말씀하셨던 것처럼 변현재 선수에게 좀 일격을 당하면서 좀 8강으로 올라가는 데는 다소 좀 무리가 있었는데 이번 시즌 일단 천적이었던 변현재 선수가 안 계시고요. 게다가 시드들도 테란과 2명, 저그 2명 이렇게 배치되어 있습니다. 김명훈 선수 또 조지명식의 중요성을 워낙 잘하는 선수이기 때문에 16강 좀 어떨 것 같으신지도 궁금해요.
16강은 일단 조가 어떻게 될지 모르겠는데 조가 잘 나와야 될 것 같고요. 뭐 시드자들 입장에서는 테란들은 저를 그래도 안 뽑고 좀 더 쉬운 사람이 많을 것 같아서 저도 그렇고 뭐 저그 쪽으로 들어가는 게 C조, D조로 들어가는 게 좀 더 좋을 것 같아요.
또 워낙 또 김민철 선수와 친분이 두터운 걸로 알고 있어서 또 두 분이 어떤 스토리를 조지명식에서 만들어갈지도 좀 기대되는데 자 16강에서 어떤 모습을 보여줄지도 팬분들에게 각오를 좀 들려주시죠.
원래는 저도 뭐 큰 욕심이 없었는데 뭐 아까 말했던 대로 현재가 떨어져가지고 좀 욕심을 내고 있으니까 많이 기대해 주셨으면 좋겠고 오늘 그리고 여자친구가 처음으로 응원을 와줬는데 덕분에 올라간 것 같아가지고 너무 고맙다고 하고 싶어요.
또 연습을 여러 선수들께서 함께 도와주셨을 텐데 이 자리를 빌어서 감사 인사 전해주실까요?
연습은 워낙에 뭘 할지 모르는 선수들이고 방송도 하질 않은 선수들이라서 뭐 할지 모르겠더라고요. 그래서 그냥 레더 위주로만 연습을 했고 좀 컨디션 관리만 잘했던 거라서 뭐 따로 고맙다고 할 사람은 없고 뭐 16강 올라가면은 생길 것 같아요.
알겠습니다. 김명훈 선수도 관록이 있는 선수이기 때문에 16강에서 어떤 모습을 보여줄지 많은 분들과 함께 지켜보도록 하겠습니다. 진출 축하드립니다.
네, 감사합니다.
자, 이렇게 해서 오늘 가장 먼저 16강에 진출한 김명훈 선수와 함께했습니다.
실성사이다 제로 그래 걱정 빼고 고민 빼고 망설임 빼고 This is zero life 없어도 되는 건 빼고 실성사이다 제로
상큼함 맥스 칼로리 X 맛있는 함 제로 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로 우리들의 제로 탐스 제로 같이 떠나볼래?
Trial and error, I'ma still shine. No matter what life throw at me, I'ma still grind. Put in work, got me feeling like it's my time.
All right, everybody. ASL returns, and it's time to eliminate one of these two players. I think this is going to be a good match. I think it's going to be a close match, and I think both these guys probably confident they could take it. So this should be a pretty fun PvT here with Ruin versus Mong.
I definitely agree with you on that. Looking at this match, Ruin is very, very modern in his play. I would say Tastosis, he has like a lot of good Nexus first builds. He really likes speed shuttle play. It's possible to even see double robo out of him. And then Mong is a standard macro Terran. He's kind of like he's Flash-esque in the way he plays, right? He's likely to do an armory opener and just kind of macro up like insanely well. And if you don't mess him up early, he macros, like his Terran versus Protoss macros specifically, is amongst the best in the world. Like,
Yeah.
like if he gets to the late game comfortably how he wants, and I cover up the names, you might be like, oh, that's light, and it's like, no, it's actually
Sure.
Mong. But yeah, I
are
can
we
see why
looking
you
at?
think that.
What is that? He's got coffee. He's got
Chocolates.
what is that?
That's the little alphabet chocolates. I know those. My kids ate those in Korea.
He's got grandma's chocolates. Those little.
It's just like a
know
little
the-
milk chocolate that has like a letter on it. I don't know. It's popular for whatever reason.
Okay. Glad you're here, Tastosis. You really pick up when I can't. I can't give anything, man. We do have a lot of players that actually use chocolate, though. Kind of get a little energy boost. Usually they eat a little bit of chocolate right before the game.
Dude, how much stuff is swirling in his stomach, man? The Picari sweat. He's got which is basically that's a Gatorade, guys. And
Yeah, that's like Powerade or
Yeah.
something if you're more familiar with it in the West.
it's a popular one in Korea. And then he's got chocolates and he's got like a coffee and he's got a water and it's like, well,
Yeah.
dude, what are we mixing a witch's brew in your belly? What's
How much more can you take? He's like, he took an Ambien. It's
took a Xanax. It's like
took a
yeah, man.
Xanax. It's crazy. Like popped a Viagra. He's ready to get into this game.
He's
It's gonna be
chewing some
nothing but all.
mastic gum, tasteless.
That's
like
right. He's getting his jaw built out here. I mean, he's ready to go, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that is quite a professional match cocktail he's got there. But I mean,
Guess so.
I guess you look at it, it's like you've got the caffeine from the ice Americano, you've got the little boost with the chocolate, and you need your electrolytes, man.
Yeah.
Get that from the Picari sweat.
I guess so. Tasteless, if you're gonna play a tournament like ASL, right? Like something that's like your
Yeah.
lifeblood and you have to perform, what are you
Uh-huh.
bringing?
Ooh, it's a good question. I feel like I probably would bring almost nothing. I think I would probably bring a water and ice Americano. And I probably would have like one sip of that, like, and then freak out and run off the stage in absolute terror. No, I mean, that's a good question. Caffeine only goes so well for me. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
if I'm stressed, the last thing I need is a big coffee to like send me over the edge. But
I know what you mean.
I guess. But maybe that's because I find playing in a match, like on a stage, that's way more intimidating than like casting this, right? Like when I
Yeah.
cast, I always have caffeine, and I always, you see me, I always have backup caffeine, like they're extra rounds of ammunition for a war.
You bring more
But-
coffee to a cast than anyone I've ever seen, honestly.
But I don't usually drink it all. That's
Yeah.
the thing. It's like I basically set up for like, okay, just in case there is a tech delay, or just in case, like I actually switched off of Americanos when we the last couple seasons together in GSL, but I would have like extra bottles of green tea, so that because every once in a while when you do these live shows, it just goes on for a long time. If it ends early, I just throw it out. But yeah, I mean, I guess if I were to go on for my first time, like I somehow managed to not be bad at this game, and now I'm in an ASL and everybody's going to watch, probably just a little bit of caffeine, but mostly I try to calm myself down and be comfortable, get my head in the game. What about you?
Yeah, I normally just bring like an ice Americano and like water. The last time I like traveled to a tournament, I think I had like bananas with me as well.
Yeah, something small to eat is good. Some nuts can be
Yeah.
good to eat before a match. Generally, players say they don't want to eat anything heavy, and some hardly eat that much before the match at all.
Yeah, your brain is sharper if your belly is not full. That's like a very well-known thing. So definitely don't want to eat something big and heavy right before the games. Like if you're gonna, I guess you got to kind of time it out.
Yeah, maybe eat like a big breakfast, but if you're going to be there in the evening, kind of wait until, Because I personally found, and I think this was true when I was younger, but I wasn't in tune with my body to know, you know what I mean? But, yeah, like, I mean, the next hour after a meal, like, I'm just not going to be as sharp as I would be if I,
For sure.
was on an empty stomach. And I do count the small amount of chocolate. I do count that as an empty stomach. That's just like a sugar boost.
Well, this game is starting to get going here, and Mong is opening very, very standard. Quite a quick nexus going down here from Ruin.
Yeah. Ruin, he's going to get scouted right away. When you see this opening, and by the way, this looks like it's going to be the Forge gateway opening. Oh,
is it going to be the Forge?
Right
I think you're right. I think that's a Forge, and Ruin's
well,
very
the
good at the Forge
down
build.
There.
They need to click on that. This is ridiculous.
This is
that
insane.
has to be a Forge.
Well, Artosis, it's not a cybernetic score. There's no gas, right? I mean, he's got.
Well, I don't know. He's a Protoss player, man. He might think that's fun.
No, I mean, it's a build that he's known for, and I like this build. I used to mess with this a decent amount, and I kind of stopped. But I do still consider it to be pretty good. But I also found that all the Nexus first openings, Terran's just started to get really good against it. And I'm like, okay, why am I doing this after somebody wins an ASL with it? You know? Like, this is, pick up on builds early on. Don't wait until everybody in the whole world's doing this and then try to become good.
That's a good point. Vulture's on the way. You can't do the Marine SCV Vulture Rush against the Forge one. The Forge one is it's got its own trickiness to it. You can try to all in it, but there's a very heavy rock, paper, scissors aspect to that. Now, the fact that Ruin has this probe alive is so good for him. See how he's seeing this command center? Since you see the command center, you can go Robo right away as Ruin. Because if you don't know what they're doing, and they go 2 factory, you need to make 3 gates. And if you make 3 gates, you'll hold it. And you'll probably just win the game directly right there. But if you don't know, it becomes tricky because they have multiple options where it's well, this could be, a 2 factory play, or this could be a fast third or something like that. And then if you're going 3 gate, you're oh, I'm so far behind.
So he's going to try to glitch this Vulture bike over here. Look at that. It's the purple Power Ranger is just in the driver's seat. See if he can get it over this time. Oh, this is so annoying. Oh, I want him to get this over this now. It's so hard to actually get the Vulture to glitch. The Vulture is one of the harder ones to glitch over.
Yeah, I think he should be hitting stop a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, there he gets it over, so that's pretty big. Nothing is blocking that ramp right now, so the Vulture's going to go right in. He's going to get a few probes at least. Oh my God, he already has mines as well. Mines won't do too much because of the Zealot though.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Imagine that had gotten in there on the first go.
Yeah. Very different.
Probably would have been had a mine planted right before the Dragoon could even come out. Could have been a lot more impactful. That's a haunting moment. Very interesting stuff.
Well, right now, the Robo is being made off of just 2 gates here. Everything's pretty safe for Ruin. There's an armory coming up and an academy here for Mong. So he is going for a big macro game, and Ruin is basically perfectly set up against that. Getting the quicker Robo as opposed to an additional gateway or 2 to try to bust an attack, that's going to help him out to clear these mines a bit quicker and take an additional base. And, this game will probably go long. The only way it doesn't go long is if Ruin just kind of randomly kills Mong. If Mong really screws up as he's taking his third or something like that.
So, one of the funny things about... Oh, hold on. He's actually going to run right in. Okay, nicely done. He's going to be able to one-shot several of these probes. Now, the Dragoons are going to come out, so whatever else he can get, he has to get that done right away here. I was just going to say, the Forge Expand builds, these can look really simple, but there's a lot of difficulty in kind of how you tech out afterwards, in my opinion. It's very... you were mentioning this earlier, Artosis, but we don't actually cast that many Forge Expand builds. This was literally, as far as I know, never a build before StarCraft 2. This was just not a thing.
No, it did not exist. It's actually very modern. This only started popping up a year ago or something.
This is a hyper modern build.
Yes.
And it looks weird because you'd think, well, can't siege tanks just shoot the cannon? And it's well, they can, but, if you're doing this with the Nexus first, you actually have enough coming in that you can kind of barely get out the Dragoons, and then if you just kill that tank, you win the game. But this is one of the builds that I would say if you're a beginner, you might want to steer clear of because it's so weird.
It's, well, it does come down to, a bit of rock, paper, scissors like we were talking about, so...
Well, and also, you're going to end up with a lot of games where you're just getting rushed. And you're just holding these various rushes. You're not learning mid-game. You're just kind of trying to learn these weird hard counters. It really kind of makes the game very sharp around the edges for both players.
Now, looking at this game, like there's some scans going down, but Ruin is playing it perfectly. And by the way, Ruin was the first person to use this build in ASL. He used it against Light on Eclipse. I remember that game really clearly because he was way ahead and ended up throwing his entire army away and losing. But he's very good at this build, and you can see he is navigating it perfectly. Like, if your opponent is doing something like Mong here, you take your third as quickly as possible. And he took his third so quickly, he used a shuttle to do it, just to make sure Vultures couldn't pick off the probe on the way or anything.
Right.
So he's just taking his third, he's macroing up, he's going to have a Reaver, so you can't really attack him, and you have to go anti-air. And look at that, the Stargate Tastosis. He's going to go directly into Carrier. This is why I talk very well about Ruin. He's very modern. He knows exactly what he's doing. This is, like, if I had to coach someone, I'm like, oh, you want to beat Terran? Let me outline this for you. This is a perfect way to do it.
Yeah, I love what I'm seeing here. And I think it's a really good setup. This kind of is a throwback to the ASL that Mini won, where he just, was getting carriers faster than we really thought you could. And what's great about this build now is it should be, I think, on paper, Protoss can barely hold the push, but then also not be stopped as far as carriers go, if this is done correctly.
Yeah, well, there's no
tough.
real, because it's an armory build, like, you can, okay, so Mong's fastest push he could do a 2-base 7 factory all in, but that's not used very much nowadays. Most Protoss can stop that. If he doesn't do that, if he makes a 3rd base, then it's like, okay, you have to max out before your attack. And he scans and he sees a Stargate. Okay, so he had just started his 3rd command center and he canceled it.
Yeah, he knows now he has to act fast.
Yes.
And the scary part for the Terran right now is the fact that the Reaver can do so much damage. We've already seen, Snow is basically leading the forefront on getting Reavers every game, using them to delay pushes. And Terran doesn't have a lot to work with. So Terran is basically put on a clock here. They need to get in there. They need to attack that 3rd base. They need to do some real damage here. And this is going to be, going up against a player like Ruin, who's going to have a lot macroed out. There's those factories Tastosis was talking about. In fact, exactly 7 here.
Yeah, well, that is what you can do, right? If you're getting 2-1 on 2 base, 7 factory is what you can support. I mean, obviously, if your macro is not great, you might be like, well, Tastosis, I did it with 9. It's like, yeah, because you're not actually producing correctly, but Mong will. So he'll be on 9 or 7 factories, and he's got to nail this. He has to nail it because he doesn't have an additional base. There is a lot here for Ruin. He's slowing it down right now with those Reavers, so it's a bit of a pain to get across.
Yeah, the bridge is going to be very hard to get around. Now, he's setting up to get a 4th base, Ruin is. Okay, and look at this block. Dude, he's so smart. This is so inefficient. And he just sends it, oh my god, Ruin is a god. This is so impressive.
Yeah, he's really great. Like, this is perfect play. Like, he's doing everything right. All the little moves, all the big moves, the build order, the choices of everything he's done so far. It's awesome to watch.
I mean, first of all, I don't think Mong should have sent the Vultures out. I think that was a huge mistake. I think you need to push with everything when you do the 7 fact.
Yeah, I agree.
You run around and it's like, okay, well, I hope that you kill all of my stuff with mines and kill all of my probes with your Vultures, because otherwise you just have a weaker push. So I would say that was a blunder.
Yes.
Decision-wise, I think that was probably Mong a little bit panicked, like, oh god, there's probably already interceptors being made. Like, I need to do something now. And now this is him doubling down on that kind of panic and freak out as he just sends Vultures out that are, they're just going to get killed. The probes have already mined what they needed to mine here. So I think this game is almost 100% a loss now for Mong.
Well, I'm not going to call it that quickly, right? He's still got his 7 factories. He's about to have 2-1 upgrades. The Vultures have drawn units away from the bridges, so maybe he gets out here a little bit easier. Obviously, those Reavers causing a bit of a problem. But, yeah, it's like Mong has to get going. It's just about time for him to move across.
We're going to... whoa. What kind of crazy moment here. He does pick up both of those tanks. It's important to note that Mong is... oh, my God. Great connects over here with those Reavers.
Yeah, really a perfect
Ruin
pullback.
is about to have 6 carriers.
Yeah.
6 carriers is a scary amount. Anything that he can do to hit on those Goliaths is going to be worthwhile. You can see that Mong is trying to just target that down, but I mean, another incredible hit. Another Scarab blows up, another Goliath. The Dragoons slowly skirt back. Another Reaver pops out to kind of keep that splash damage coming. These Dragoons could go into these mines. He's got to be careful.
Yeah, this is... Ooh, those mines end up paying off pretty well right there, but still you can see Ruin up a lot of supply. He's making those interceptors. You have to get over another bridge, or you have to go the long way around here as Mong.
I think he forgot plus 4 interceptors.
Oh
he only has
God.
4. You're supposed to get up to 8. So like that's one way you could just die. I mean, you need to have enough carriers to basically take the fight to the Goliaths and snowball it.
Okay, he's got it. He's got it. We have a 5th interceptor.
Okay. I was getting worried there, man.
Yeah, that would be a hilarious way to lose a game right there. It's like you do everything right, and then you forget one upgrade, and you're like, well, the carriers are half as good as they should be. Now, Mong is trying to clear that right-hand base, but even if he clears it, right, like even if he kills off this Nexus, all the probes there, he kills this Reaver and everything, it's buying a ton of time for Ruin.
Yeah, I like the Dragoons coming in here. Just get any snipes off you can. Now, in moments like this, it's great to target the tanks if you can comfortably, because the tanks, you know, they're not going to be able to be remade that easily. Oh, I guess he doesn't have Zealot speed either here. But, you know, the Goliaths can't really fight Zealots and Dragoons. The Goliaths are purely there for the carriers.
And he's not even going to get the Nexus, it looks like, Tasteless. The Goliaths, like a reinforcement comes up, but there's enough ground units here that are screwing them up so much. The Zealot's dealing huge amounts of damage. Can't seem to really kill these carriers off. And I think he's even going to... Well, I don't know if he's going to get the Nexus or not, but even if he does, once again, like, Ruin is going to have more and more carriers. He's still getting those interceptors. I still feel like it's a good position here for Ruin.
It might have been a little bit dramatic of me when I said this is 100% over. I got to say, Mong's actually really impressing me here, despite all those vultures getting killed off earlier. But the carrier count is going to continue to increase. 1 carrier is picked off, dropping this number down to 5. But there's going to be another 3. Here they come now. Maybe another 2, I guess. But you get what I'm saying. Like, their numbers are going to grow. And as long as he's continuing to get the air attack upgrade, like, you know, these carriers are eventually going to be able to just take head-on almost anything. When you get up to like 10 carriers, it's so hard to fight if the carrier player is good with control.
It's really ridiculous. You have to have a ton of production. You know, he's got the 7 fact. He might end up adding like an 8th as he takes that 3rd base, but it's tough. Like, look at Mong's gas right now. He's spending every dime he has trying to get an army out that can actually fight against this, but eventually we're going to get legs on these Zealots. You know, Ruin is continually macroing out of his gateways. He's added more gates as well. So, you know, you got to make sure you're still balancing in some siege tanks. You got to make sure you still have some vultures out there. It's a very tough balance here for Mong.
Yeah, and the shuttle with the Reavers can work in tandem with the carriers, because then you can actually have Scarab shots that are going to be fired onto the Goliaths, and the Goliaths will die so quickly. It also might be worth it to just kill the eBay here, too, if you get that opportunity to do so.
Well, he's just going to go ahead and dive and kill some of the siege tanks, it looks like. I think he wants to utilize his shuttle, that's why.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and drop out his Reavers, which are going to do so fantastically here. Whether it's SCVs or Goliaths, these shots are awesome.
It just doesn't matter. And now you need siege tanks over here. And this creates an opening, a little bit of a positional imbalance here at the 3rd base. And I think basically Ruin's pulled it off.
He really has. There's nothing left here for Mong. He's still got 122 supply, but he's barely mining. The Reavers are just clowning on these Goliaths that are trying to come in. Picks off the command center. And it's just, this game from Ruin, I think, highlights his qualities so well. He's using the most modern stuff, the best timings. He's hanging out with the coolest dudes and driving the fastest cars.
Absolutely, man. By the way, no Zealot speed this game, which I imagine we're almost done with this game, but I guess never even got the Citadel here. Kind of just really tried to play a tight game.
That would be a mistake. That's like, you always get it after the carriers are out. So, like, I think he just, you know, he forgot one thing, I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's fine. It's just funny. It really goes to show you, you know, how razor thin of a line Ruin is playing this game on here. He's not even going to bother getting that additional tech. I mean, he sees the slow Zealots. He's just opting not to get it, at least for the time being. Oh, maybe he just now got it. That Zealot's faster. Okay, he finally did get it.
All right, well, right now, Mong, this is kind of his final stand. He's trying to push up towards his 4th Protoss base. If he could knock that out, like, maybe there opens up a possibility here, but it feels like the carrier count is too high. Like, the amount of value these are extracting, they're like a floating base in and of themselves, just based off of how much they kill.
Yeah. Well, they're getting so much value now. Again, I mean, the second base isn't even up and running. We don't see those shuttles being used. I thought he might try to fly those into the natural. But, you know, this is enough carriers that they just keep basically winning the fights against the Goliaths. I think we have something like 7 Goliaths left in this little skirmish that's happening over here.
Yeah.
You know, the Dragoons are continuing to find damage. In fact, they're going to kill that gas. And, I mean, yeah, that's going to be it. There's just nothing he can really get done here.
No, it's over. The carriers, you know, the thing is, carriers scale better than everything else in the game. Asterisk, except for one Defiler. But, like, they really... They're so strong when you get those numbers. And you saw Mong, right? He scanned it, he canceled his command center, he threw down the factories. He knew that he needed to get out there, he needed to push, but he wasn't quick enough, he wasn't strong enough, and Ruin will go through to that final match.
But this means Ruin has to face off against Queen. This is a rematch from earlier.
Shine.
If you guys remember. I'm sorry, Shine. What am I talking about? No, but then that's not a rematch, Tastosis, and I'm insane. So Shine, that's going to be a very different game. Thinking back onto that game where he did play against Queen, I got to say, man, you know, that double Stargate got caught. I don't think we're going to have play like that again, but we will have a very cautious Ruin coming in here in this fight against Shine, no doubt.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what he actually has planned for that and what map we're going to be going on to. Mong, obviously disappointed. The group, it's not the hardest group. It was probably a doable group. I think there's a different world. If we played this group several times, I think Mong gets out occasionally. But, you know, a low finish for him here. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we get back, Shine versus Ruin.
지금의 그 적의 입장은 1세트 매치 포인트와 너무 다릅니다. 그러니까 공격을 가서 끝내야 했던 입장이었기 때문에 수비가 정말 양방향!
자, 그냥 여기서 던지고 미끼 역할에 높이 여기서 들어갈 생각이거든요.
드랍십 떨구고 아래쪽에 뭉쳐져 있었던 자 러커를 한 방에 우선을 끌어내는데 성공을 했어요.
터널이 터져버렸어요!
건너오는 시간이 이게 드랍십에 약간 시선을 뺏긴 다음에 건너오는 시간이 늦었어요.
탱크 하나, 2개까지 잘리겠는데요.
이 지역을 오른쪽에다가 지상병력으로 쳐박아놨기 때문에 이쪽은 안전하다 생각하는 타이밍에 드랍십으로 지금은 찔러 넣었어요.
자, 또 수비하러 왔습니다, 이재호.
병력이 기다렸다는 뜻이 없습니다.
자, 뒤쪽에서 탱크까지 합류하고 있는 이영호지만 이재호도 자리를 잡고 있습니다.
내려옵니다.
자, 수비병력 이재호도 드랍십 떨어지죠.
네.
자,
와, 많은데요.
되게 많습니다. 이재호가 이영호의 병력을 수비하기 위해 오고 있어요.
지상병력이 못 들어왔어요.
네.
지상병력이
막힙니다.
못 들어왔어요. 지상병력이
해냈네요. 거의 해내기 직전까지 왔습니다. 이제.
벌써 3개
네.
열렸고 들어와서 바로
자 보로우 이제는 이런 상황은 아니었기
봤어요?
때문에 자 이제는 또 히드라 그러니까 레어를 일단은 누르고 난 이후에 스파이어로 올라가는 것이 일반적이었다면 지금 이제 완전히 완벽하게 의표를 좀 찌르기 위해서 히드라를 준비해서 왔습니다.
네. 그러면은
때문에 뭐 쉽사리 지금은 이런 식의 어떤 테러도 뭐 어쨌든 지금은 터렛뿐만 아니라 배슬을 살려야 이 이 한 번의 전투에서만 이기면 된다는 것을 이해훈 선수가 알아요.
네, 패스를 터졌고.
로코 살았어요. 버텼어요.
네. 그리고 뒤쪽에 넣고
이번 그냥 차이가 좀 많이 벌어지고 있는 상황.
그러면 이 지역 자원기지 건들고 있고 또 이 지역도 한동안 병력을 묶어놓는 데 성공을 하면서 잃었었던 자원 그리고 새로 신규로 올라간 자원 두 군데를 지금 확보를 했죠.
이 지역은 좀 크게 작용할 수 있죠.
배틀의 압박이 양쪽으로 쌍으로 있다 보니까 그 지역을 수비하기 위해서 막하기 위해서 히드라 위주로 부대 편성을 했었거든요.
이렇게 팔려나가 지금 들어왔고 저 오자마자 배틀에
야 양쪽 배틀을 지금은 배틀로 멀티를 여러 군데 지금은 건들면서 모두 다 지금 대처가 안 되는 상황이에요. 아래쪽에 마인이 없는 상태의 탱크 쪽으로 붙을 수 있기는 할 것 같거든요.
지금 붙어요?
네.
지금 붙어요?
본진 생산 병력도 있습니다 지금.
이거 들어왔어요. 걷어내고 기회를 만들 수 있을지 굉장히 중요한 싸움이에요.
엄청 중요한 싸움입니다. 승부를 지금 좌우할 수 있고요.
병력 총 동원하면서요. 이 싸움 마인 제거자고
탱크가 어디로 지나가 중요한데 자 만화 조금 있어요. 조금.
자 올릴 수 있나요? 와 5기.
와 이게
이 병력이 남아요?
좀 얼어있던 병력이 살아남았을 때 공짜로 잡아야 되는 건데 좀 욕심 부렸습니다만 오히려 손해를 봤습니다.
노리는 거는 리콜
준비하고 있습니다. 자, 마인 떨어진 같이 자 탱크 지금 포격에 지금 들어간 데는 녹아가고 있고
정말 거기 참 잘한다라는 그런 평가가 나올 만한 그런. 사면 캐리어예요.
네, 수면 캐리어고 스타게이트 지어지는 타이밍은 제각각입니다. 상대방의 탱크 숫자 줄인 다음에 드라군으로 합쳐서 조금 이득을 보려고 하고 있죠.
이건 엑소스와 바꾼 기회입니다.
네.
엑소스를 내주긴 했지만 어쨌든 병력은 다 잡았으니까요.
메카니카 바이오닉 지금 바카닉으로 앞마당 쪽에 좀 두들기는 상황이거든요.
네, 본진 안쪽에 벙커와 탱크로 일단은 수비 라인은 우선적으로 만들었고요. 캐리어는 빠져 있는 상황이기 때문에
길막
자, 길막 뒤로 못 빠지고
두 선수 붙인데
지금 FCV 또 이 바이닉 병력들 엄청난 그 수비 라인으로 자기들끼리 막 끼고 살다 이런 경기를 나오네요. 송병우 선수는 자 보통 그 프로토스의 그런 마인드가 좀 다르거든요. 버릴 건 버릴 줄 알고.
자 지금 돌아가면서 안쪽까지 흔들고 있는데 여기도 자원이 없어요.
진짜 얼마나 없었습니까?
이번 한 번의 전진이 최후의 전진이 될 수밖에 없다는 얘기입니다.
그렇죠. 자 자원줄 깨집니다. 여기 터지면 끝나요. 한번 끝. 20원이 없어서 못 찍고 있는 상황이고.
아예 미리 엘리전을 머릿속에 생각하고 있었어요.
무승부라도. 하지만 여긴 돈이 있거든요.
프로토스는 건물을 띄울 수 없으니까.
건물을 다 흩어서 지었어요 지금.
송병구 선수 드라곤볼 좋아하거든요. 지금 이 파일럿 하나하나씩 지어주면서 찾아봐라.
캐리어는 떠다니는 건물 찾아내면서 상대 주력 병력이 움직였을 때 지상 병력하고 합쳐지기만 하면 됩니다.
여기서 남자 자원이 가지고 한 개라도 여기 하나 찾았어요.
살뜰하게 이 본진 쪽 크로스 카운터가 될 때 약 800미네랄을 남겨놨어요. 인터 템포값, 이건 인터 템포값, 또 여기에 또 이 파일럿 여기저기 몰래 숨겨두길 그런 또 이 자원까지 해서 말이죠.
GG.
Time for the final game of tonight's games. I mean, it's going to be Ruin versus, I said Queen earlier, but it is Shine. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight, guys. Sorry, everybody. That's embarrassing. But yeah, Shine versus Ruin. This is going to be a fun one. And I got to say, I'm very excited by the way that Ruin played that last PVT. I do think that Shine is a real threat to take this. But Ruin is showing a lot of mechanical skill here.
Yeah. You know, I'm sure that Ruin is going to have some sort of smart build order planned out and everything. This is probably not too hard for him to guess that he'd be on Sylphid at the end too, and it's a ladder map, so he's played it a ton. But you know, the build he had against Queen on Heartbreak, like the double Stargate, it fell really, really flat. And then Shine is much more unpredictable. But maybe he can out macro him?
Yeah, I think that the double Stargate play was maybe a bit of a nervous, impulsive play versus Queen. I'll tell you, man, you know, from my own experience, there's nothing scarier than right before you figure out what the Zerg's doing as we go into mid-game. And maybe he just kind of felt like it looks like it's going to be Mew to play, but, you know, Queen saw it and shut it down. But let's see how Ruin plays here. If I'm Ruin, I'm probably feeling pretty confident after that last win I just had versus Mong. That was a real skilled win where he really navigated that game very cleanly. But again, Shine, man, what's he going to do? Could it be normal, or could it be stuff that only Shine's mind could create? Let's find out.
The beautiful mind.
Yes.
All right, on the left-hand side, we have Shine. And up at the top, we have Ruin.
Okay, you know, this is, first of all, by the way, a map I'm still in love with, Neo Sylphid. I'm glad we're getting a lot of just good, solid maps. I do, of course, always want those crazy out there maps, but it's really great to have new maps that have new ideas like this that are allowing people to really explore the game. I guess at this point in time, it's not really a new map, right?
Yeah.
I guess it's only new in the sense of how long the game's been out compared to some of the other maps that we use, but this should be a fun PvZ on here. We're probably going to have a gate or forge expand here from Ruin.
Looks like probably a gate expansion as he sends the probe back to mine some. No big surprise there. Is there any particular strategy that you think that is like especially good on Sylphid?
I think gate expand is very good. You know, we've talked over the last couple of ASLs. I've been messing with 2-gate a little bit. I'm doing gate expand more and more now. I can still do the old 2-gate. I'm at the point now, at least for me, where I'm like, I can kind of move. I have a couple core openers I can do. We talked about this a while back. I think it is good to try to have like one opener for each matchup to start, and then you know, start to build out your skills. But gate expand is good. You know, there's a lot of places you can hide the Zealot. It allows you to kind of engage with the Zerg in a certain way. You know, this is going to sound silly, but it is worth pointing out. You know, Forge Expand, I think a lot of Protoss players will only do it if they know they can get a cannon rush off. And if not, they can still play a normal game. Otherwise, I feel like Gate Expand is just a little bit better. And the thing is, you're not going to cannon rush every game, but when you get there, you're in a very good spot. If you can do a cannon rush behind the minerals at like the natural expand. Sylphid's one of those maps you can't do that on.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense.
I don't know if that's how everybody does it. I don't think I've ever actually said this like that explicitly, but that's one of the ways I make the decision. Like if I would open Forge Expand or not, is it's like, oh well, are there places that I can rush with cannons? Or am I going to give myself an advantage? Because otherwise, I'd like to go for one Zealot and maybe many more to come out because it allows me to engage with the Zerg in a certain way.
Yeah, having that flexibility with the build makes a lot of sense. You know, there's certainly things I think with all the races where you can look at a map and be like, okay, well, or even positions you spawn in where it's like, oh, like maybe dropship is even better here, for instance, right? Because the back of his main is towards me, that type of thing. Definitely something you think about in Terran versus Terran in this map, for instance, being rotationally symmetric. But
Sure. I mean, like, you know, for instance, on some maps, like in some positions on this map, it's really convenient to drop a DT or drop Zealots into their main when you're, like, trying to push because they just have this big open area they might not have vision inside of. But, yeah, there's a lot of decisions and setups that sometimes the map is more convenient for certain spawns on that. By the way, core first here. Plenty of Lings, and Shine did go for early gas. I think it was actually second gas just before third hatchery. Which means the Forge is going to be made for Ruin in the inside of his base. And I am watching to see if this trend can continue and if Protosses are going to suffer or be punished for it. Because, you know, oh my God, he gets right in. Look at that.
Ooh, yeah, I feel like he should have had a probe there. Now, he needs to block him from going his main. Oh, God, already loses one probe. That's a little bit painful. Oh, he's going to lose a second, perhaps. Yeah. Oh, just barely pulling away. No, he does end up getting it, and he's going to run some Lings in. Not the best execution. You can see the look of anguish on Ruin's face.
The anguish.
The anguish.
You know, you know, this is... I was going to try to make this point, and Shine kind of beat me to it, but, you know, this is a little bit more dangerous. Obviously, the Lings get in because he didn't wall in entirely. He should have had a probe to help block, but, you know, the cannon later does create some opportunities for the Zerg. Like, he can come in now and kill this cannon.
No.
Ruin's actually sent his Zealots across, so this is already a crazy chaotic game, but this is a lot of probe kills, man. I mean, this is getting to the point where I would certainly feel like I'm ready to leave the game if I was Ruin. I mean, this is just a lot you're losing. And again, it all comes back to the fact that this is a kind of more modern meta in the last year, is core just before cannon, just so you can get your Stargate out a little bit earlier. But, you know, we're seeing that the Protoss really pay for that back there.
None of this happens if he has one probe next to the Zealot in the wide part of the wall. Like...
But not just that, Artosis, but the fact that the cannon had to start even later because of that.
Yeah.
So then the Lings come in and kill the cannon that's making, and you know, these problems begin to compound. Now I think the game's probably still going to go on. I don't think that there's going to be more Lings that can breach the inside of the natural. But like, how many probes do you think were killed here? It feels like a lot.
It feels like really a lot, Tasteless. I want to say 6, 7 probes have died. Maybe now, even adding to that now, that's, look at that, 4 kills and 1 kill. So that's 5 just from those. Maybe more.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 8 or 9 probes.
I mean, it's a staggering number, and the Zerg really hasn't lost that much. Now, with the fact that this was a core earlier, I think the Corsair can kill 1 to 2 Overlords before a Scourge or Mutalisk can come out. And that's why you do this build, but just imagine Protoss was doing this and he had not lost the insane amount of units that he already has lost. Now, that nice Zealot counterplay, but this is going to have to run and hide behind the minerals. There we go.
Oh, things are not going well for Ruin, unfortunately, in these Protoss vs. Zerg games. I feel for him, too. You could see... Again, the anguish when the Lings got in and were killing all of his probes. It's like, oh, man.
The fury.
Like, you get 2 chances a year at ASL, and to have something go wrong that badly, oof.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel it. You know, I've always been a little bit uncomfortable with the best of 1 part for the round 24 here. I almost wish there was a way they could have made this thing like many more days. You know what I mean? And maybe had... best of 3s for more of this, but and he's trying to get that. Oh my God,
Dude.
He doesn't even get that. This is a train wreck. You know, we saw that Overlord get hurt earlier, and I thought, oh, that's too bad. He probably could have microed out a little bit more and gotten the the damage up to kill the Overlord and maybe gotten that back home. But not even getting the Overlord. I mean, Shine is basically look at the player cam right now. Ruin's head is cocked to the side.
Yeah,
he's going through the motions. He knows like this is so bad. And he knows that Shine's a player that knows how to capitalize on this, so it's even worse. There were 2 Corsairs killed, is that correct?
Yeah, 2. He lost. Yeah. He lost both of them. He didn't even make a third. Like, at this point, you have to start taking risks anyways. He's so far behind.
Yeah.
But I don't... Shine is so on point right now. Like, he's got a great economy, a ton of hatcheries, all of his tech that he wants. He could go Muta or Hydra, and I think he wins with both.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many ways you could choose to close this out. And you can see the Zealot number's pretty small, partially because he tried to harass, but that means that the Mutas really can kind of deal with the Zealots as long as there's a small number of Zerglings here, like we're seeing right now. I mean, it's just rough. In fact, he's not even going to kill that Sunken Colony. Look at that. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Not that killing the Sunken Colony is the most exciting thing to do here, but it just goes to show you how bad this is. He does get a second Stargate, and he puts it in kind of a sneaky spot here. But at this point in time, I think he can just kill the cannon, kill the Corsairs, and kill the Protoss.
Yeah, it definitely looks that way. The first cannon goes down. The Warping cannon, of course, will fall unbelievably fast. A small Zealot counterattack into this third base. But everything is, like, choked up really well. He's keeping that Sunken alive. losing probes. I think we're going to see Ruin GG.
Yeah, this is just a disaster of a game. GG, Shine takes it. You know, Shine did everything he needed to do. That's a game where Ruin doesn't cross his T's, he doesn't dot his I's, and he's out. And I'll tell you what, it all goes back to those fuelings getting in. The most important thing you can ever try to make sure happens to ensure that you're going to be in an okay spot in a game that you can win early on in a PvZ is you cannot let speedlings get in your base. He didn't block. He did go for a core before Forge. That's a little bit risky, but I think it's not unacceptable. I think you got to try to cut corners here, but if you're going to go for that core, you better be so 1,000% sure that you're never going to let these lings in.
Dude,
until there's a cannon up.
The next level greed there really makes him pay for it, not having a probe at the natural. Let's go ahead here on Shine.
24강 2조 경기 모두 만나보셨습니다. 오늘의 두 번째 16강 진출자, 다시 한번 16강에 오른 이영환 선수 함께하겠습니다. 축하드립니다.
아, 네, 감사합니다.
네, 벌써 두 시즌 연속 16강에 편안하게 안착하고 계십니다. 오늘 이영환 선수의 한 타이밍을 응원하는 팬분들이 정말 많았는데요. 그 타이밍을 제대로 보여주신 것 같아요. 소감이 좀 어떠세요?
사실 첫 경기부터 너무 경기력이 안 좋아가지고 게임하면서 좀 화가 많이 났었거든요. 그래도 게임하는 내내 좀 한 타이밍 보고 있었는데 제가 이겼던 두 세트가 딱 그 한 타이밍 딱 잘 봤던 것 같고 좀 경기력 부분에서 아쉬운 부분이 있었는데 어쨌든 게임 이기는 데는 되게 집중 잘해서 잘 찾아낸 거라서 그래도 좀 나쁘진 않았던 것 같아요.
아마 이영환 선수 오늘 경기의 그 한 타이밍이 클립으로 나온다면 그 중에 하나가 윤찬희 선수와의 경기에서 스탑 럴커 장면이 아닐까 싶은데요. 어떻게 생각하세요?
좀 장치를 많이 걸어놨었어요. 정면에 럴커도 좀 숫자 적게 보여줬었고 한 번에 많이 뽑아가지고 센터 랠리를 보통 잘 안 찍으니까 그리고 이제 오버로드도 그쪽에 좀 배치되어 있으면 상대가 좀 방심할 것 같아가지고 진짜 이것만 한번 노려보자라고 딱 노렸는데 그게 딱 잘 맞아떨어져가지고 오늘 되는 날이구나 싶었어요.
결국 최종전 홍덕 선수와의 경기에서도 저글링으로 한 타이밍을 완벽하게 잡아내면서 다시 한번 16강에 오른 이영환 선수입니다. 경기 전 인터뷰에서도 이번 시즌은 맵이 좀 욕심이 나서 많은 경기를 치르고 싶다라고 좀 바람을 밝히셨는데 그 바람대로 된 것 같아요.
일단 16강 가면은 게임 수가 많아지기 때문에 좀 제가 24강에선 보여드린 게 지금 없거든요, 전략이. 그래서 16강에서 좀 조가 잘 만들어진다면 잘 준비해가지고 좀 보여드리고 싶어요.
이 맵을 좀 이렇게 쭉 봤을 때 벌써 머릿속에 어느 정도 컨셉들이 좀 잡힌 빌드들이 몇 개 있을까요? 구체적인 구상까지는 아니더라도.
일단 아무래도 제일 신기한 컨셉 맵인 76이 좀 제일 하고 싶은데 그 맵에서 하고 싶은 게 너무 많은데 아직 그 맵에서 하려면은 좀 더 상위 라운드로 올라가야 될 것 같고 뭐 그 외 단장의 능선 같은 경우도 제가 이제 좋아했던 맵이기 때문에 충분히 준비 잘하면 할만할 거라고 생각 들어요.
신기한 빌드들이 벌써부터 좀 기대가 되는데요. 자, 16강에 오른 이영환 선수 또 16강에서 어떤 모습을 보여주실지 각오를 한 말씀 밝혀주시죠.
사실 이제 작년 한 해 동안 이제 보성이 형이랑 염석대도 하고 이제 바스포드에서 김유다 형이랑 같이 하면서 이제 학생들 가르치면서 기본기 교육하면서 저도 좀 많이 늘었다고 생각을 했었거든요.
네.
그래가지고 이제 같이 방송하면서 이것저것 방송도 배우고 게임 실력도 많이 향상된 것 같아가지고 좀 그걸 바탕으로 이번 대회 때 좀 잘 해가지고 좀 같이 보냈던 시간을 좀 의미 있게 만들어드리고 싶어요.
또 끝으로 하고 싶은 말씀 있으실까요, 이영환 선수?
그리고 또 연습 도와준 이제 재호 형이랑 영진이랑 사태랑 너무 고맙고 연습 상대가 너무 세다 보니까 거의 이기질 못했어요. 그래서 오늘 못 이기겠구나 하고 왔는데 생각보다 잘 풀렸던 것 같고 또 오늘 또 응원 와준 양양이가 응원 와줬거든요. 그래서 너무 고맙고 16강에도 부탁할게.
또 동료들과 팬분들의 응원을 받아 멋진 모습을 보여줄 이영환 선수 기대하도록 하겠습니다. 진출 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
자, 이렇게 오늘의 두 번째 16강 진출자 저그 이영환 선수와 함께했습니다.
And there you have it. Our two players to survive this day's group of the ASL. It's Queen and Shine. I mean, not too surprising. I'll tell you, man, it was a little bit emotional watching Ruin fall here.
Yeah.
I think we've all had those days. We've all had bad games on the ladder or, moments where we really wanted to compete and show our best and we weren't able to do it. But this is what separates the round of 24 players from the round of 16 and the round of 8 players.
That's right. And we only have one more group to go, Tasteless. The Protoss line. I mean, we've got 3 amazing Protosses in the round of 16 so far. But we are going to need to get Stork through in this next group. He's the last
Yeah.
Protoss that can make it.
I mean, I think this can still be an okay season for Protoss, but right now the Terrans and Zergs are killing it. And no matter how you cut it, there will be either 3 or 4 Protosses advancing. So it's still going to be the slowest represented race in the round of 16. But, you know, this happens sometimes. We did have that KSL finals where it was like the top 4 were all Protoss. It's like, all right, this
What was
is
it?
weird.
It was 6 of 8 in the round of 8, and then top 4 were Protoss.
Yeah. But I think Stork's got a good shot. I do think Light 1,000% gets out no matter what. And I think JYJ, Saxiri, and Stork are going to have to fight it out, but it's not going to be easy for any of them. I think JYJ, Saxiri, and Stork are all really good bets. I do think Stork can come out with just superior strategies. With better strats coming into this, but I don't know, man. Fingers crossed. I would like to have at least one more Protoss here.
Well,
in the next round of the ASL, that's not a caster.
Especially if it is Stork, right? Like, we already have Jaedong and Bisu through. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have Stork up there as well and get some of those old-timey finals feels back?
Yeah, and you know, the thing about Stork is that he is one of those guys that was at times like the best of the best. He just isn't able to quite play, it seems, to the same level that he was before, but, you know, ASL is going to be around forever, so maybe this is the time he can actually do that.
I hope so. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching and supporting on Patreon. That's patreon.com/ASL English. We love you guys so much for helping us out, keeping ASL alive.
Guys, we love you. Take care, and we will see you for the final group in just a little bit. Bye-bye.